It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
What are you talking about?
No, it's not him. There is only one more. There is only one more. That's it. One more.
Get her ass!
No!
They saw your team put up zero effort.
Wake up!
Remember in the old days they used to have oxygen for them. Where's the oxygen?
Play like absolute just garbage.
This is the Sports Loudmouths.
Yay!
Man, can you keep it down? I'm trying to introduce here. With Errol Marks, Speedy Petey, and Josh Silverberg.
You're not even a has-been. You're a never was. You're a never was. You're a never was. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, this is the Sports Loudmouths. I'm your host, Errol Marks. My co-host, Speedy Petey, and Joshua Silverberg. Remember, you can listen to our show every single Wednesday and Thursday at 9 p.m. And yes, now we're on iRadio USA, so you can listen to us on their network as well. If you want to go to our website, and if you should, or you push yourself to go to our website, you go to www.worldwidesportsradio.com. You can download our app by going to iOS, which is WWSRN, or you go to Android, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Speedy, what is our numbers of the day?
631-965-4990 if you would like to call the show.
Oh, Speedy, it doesn't have the voice to say that. So how are we doing today, Speedy? Are you playing with yourself? What are you doing today? Are you doing something?
I haven't been able to quote-unquote play anything
so,
except for our shows on our network.
Oh, so there you go. So you're not having fun. You're not fiddling anything. You're not doing anything. You're not fondling
I don't
anything.
have a fiddle.
Oh, so you don't have a fiddle. But
I do not have
Do you
a
fondle
fiddle.
things? Do you fondle things?
I don't know what that means.
No, so there you go, guys. So everybody knows that Speedy doesn't know what fondling means. So there you go.
I'm convinced you just made up that word.
No, fondling is a word. Ask Josh.
We didn't make it up.
Josh, how about you? How are you doing? Are you fondling anything today?
I mean, I haven't really been able to fondle anything, but I know what the word fondling means. That's for sure. It's not a made-up word, Speedy. It's a real word. I know when you...
Errol admits he makes up a word every day, so... Errol admits he wakes up a word every day, so I never know.
I do. It is a real word. It actually exists, ladies and gentlemen. Fondling is a word, and Speedy does not know what it means. So if anybody wants to attack Speedy with any kind of words, use it in a way where he doesn't know how to judge it. There you go. So that helps you out in every kind of way. We have a great show lined up for you guys today. We're going to get into a lot of football, as we always do. At 10 p.m., we're going to have a special guest, Mark Kelly Everett. He likes to be called his full name. So Mark Kelly Everett will be joining us on our show. He's over there in Alabama. He's going to talk a little football with us. He's going to talk a little baseball with us and some hockey because he's an Islander fan. He's a big part of our network over there in Alabama, so we're going to have him on. He's working right now as we speak. And I know this is Kenny's, but Kenny cannot come on until we invite him on the show because he likes to just call the show and just get into stupid stuff. So, Kenny, I know you want to get on the show. Give me 1 second. I'll invite you on the show, and you can say whatever crazy stuff that you want to talk about. But before we do that, we have Mark coming on the show. Like I said, he's going to talk a lot of football, baseball, and hockey with us. We have a great lineup of stuff that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the Sam Darnold news conference yesterday, and Matt Rule said some interesting things about the quarterback position. We're going to get into that in a little while. We're also going to talk a little bit about Justin Fields' second pro day and what everybody thought of his second pro day, and what does this mean? Does San Francisco move in at number 3 now and draft Justin Fields? I'm going to give you a reason why I think they might. And also, we're going to talk a lot about baseball. There's a lot to talk about with baseball. The Yankees are not playing good baseball. The Mets don't play. So we will get into that in just a few moments as well. Hockey, basketball. LaMarcus Aldridge has decided to step down and retire because of a heart problem. We will get into that and why we think it might affect the Nets going into the playoffs because they thought LaMarcus Aldridge was going to help them as far as rebounding is concerned. So a lot to talk about. But before we get into our hot topics, let's put them on. Kenny, what's going on, bud?
Can't believe PDP doesn't know what fondle means.
Well, you know what fondle means? I don't want to hear it on live air, but do you know what fondle means?
Yeah.
Are you drinking tonight, Kenny?
No, I'm on. They call it wax.
Oh, you're on what? You're on wax. What are you smoking over there?
It's high concentrated stuff that you have to smoke with some kind of torch.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much for introducing what wax is on live radio. But, Kenny, thank you for getting high and interacting with us because it's now legal in New York. How are you doing?
The Yankees do suck.
I'm sorry?
The Yankees do suck.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Kenny, for giving us that information. Do you have anything?
The Mets are better.
How do you figure they're better?
Well, I looked at the standings.
Oh, so because we're about 8 games into the season, looking at the standings, you think that the Mets are better than the Yankees. Is that what you're saying?
At this moment.
At this moment. But you just said they're better.
They're better at this moment.
Yeah, that's so. How much wax are you smoking? Okay.
So looking right now, the Boston Red Sox are the best team in baseball.
Yankees might be what they are, better than the Mets then.
So because the Mets are 5-3 right now, and the Yankees are 6-7, the Mets are better because Kenny says so. Is that what we're saying?
So let's just lock it. Let's just have the Red Sox and the Astros just play the ALCS right now. And
I'm just saying that one's better than the other right now. That's all.
So before we get off the phone with Kenny, because he's smoking his wax and he knows what fondling means, okay? All right, so he knows what fondling means. So that's good. At least something is moving in the right direction here. You think that the Mets are better than the Yankees because they're 5-3 and the Yankees are 6-7. Have we lost anything? Is Eli Manning coming back from retirement or what?
No, I'm saying that that's the way it is right now. It could change soon. That's all.
No, thank you, Kenny. I really appreciate the phone call.
The Mets are overall better. Probably not.
Well, thank you, Kenny. You are a wonderful man. Thank you for smoking your wax and calling the show and giving us this great information. So everybody that wants to know, you want information from Kenny, you want to know if the Mets are better than the Yankees, and you want to know what kind of wax to smoke, call Kenny. I kill Kenny. How's that?
What's your opinion?
Well, thank you, Kenny. Kenny, thank you for calling, bud.
The Mets and the Yankees.
Thanks, Kenny, for calling, my friend.
You're not going to give your opinion?
What do I think about the Yankees and the Mets? I don't know what to expect with the Yankees and Mets. If you want to know what my full opinion, the Yankees are a better all-around team than the Mets. That's my opinion. But
I agree with that.
But right now, the Mets are, by the little bit of games that they're playing, they have a better record than the Yankees. Does that mean that they're better? No. So I don't know who's better. We don't know what to expect. But, Kenny, thank you for calling, bud.
All right.
Kenny, ladies and gentlemen, the wonder boy of them all. He knows what fondling means, and he loves to smoke his wax. So there you go.
You know, he brought up the waxing. It's interesting because with wrestling, I think I've told you about the show, Arrow, Dark Side of the Ring. The wrestler New Jack in ECW, he used to smoke, it was this guy Mustafa. He used to smoke pencil shavings.
Well, how wonderful. Well, so we got people that smoke pencil shavings. We have him smoking wax, and who knows what else he's smoking over there. And there we go. It's just moving in the right direction. What does this say? What does that say over there? HMU? What does that mean?
Trey is messaging you.
What does HMU mean?
Hit me up.
Okay. I'll hit you up.
By the way, while Kenny was on the phone, we had some comments. Jeff's coming in at you already, Josh. Good to see Josh can strap on his clown shoes for night number 2.
Oh, listen, dude. Always, dude. I got them on nice and tight tonight. I'm ready to go.
Speedy, before you laugh, read it off so we can understand what you're reading.
Jeff also says if dementia was a person, it would be Kenny. Snug says, please give Kenny a show on the network. Oh, yes. Wonderful idea. And then Jeff also says a show featuring Kenny and Josh would be electric. Kenny says they also have CBD wax.
Oh, how wonderful.
There you go.
And Snug says, is it possible that Miami Heat can round out the show? Yes, that would be a cool throwback for that.
And then Anthony Carragher says dog coin to the moon, which means if anybody plays cryptos or anybody plays the stock market, Dogecoin went actually sky high today. A lot of people made a lot of money on the crypto. But
Carl says 5 minutes into we are smoking pencil shavings, waxing, and fondling each other.
See,
Good
there you
Lord.
go. What a wonderful sports radio show. So
That's
we're,
right.
we're moving in the right direction. Fondling and smoking wax and maybe pencil shavings. Anyways, the first story I want to get into is the whole Sam Darnold thing. And we've been talking about Sam Darnold. When we heard Sam Darnold was getting traded to the Carolina Panthers, we played the video, and it looked like he was very, very happy. But there were some very interesting things that he said at his news conference yesterday, being introduced as the Carolina Panther quarterback. And, Speedy, do you have a little bit of the recording on that?
No, I don't.
Oh, well, thank you, Speedy. You really helped us out. But that's my producer, ladies and gentlemen. So just so you want to know, if you ever need a producer, just ask this guy to get some videos for you. Anyways, a lot of things that he said in the video, which I wanted Speedy to play, and maybe you should look it up, was he really got into the effect on being traded from the Jets. And a lot of the press guys and press ladies that asked him the questions, and they kept going back to the question, were you upset when the Jets decided to move you? And he said, I wasn't happy. And I thought that I was going to play for this team for 20 years. And I thought that this team was going to move forward with me. And what I heard earlier after the season, that the Jets believed in me and that they thought that we were gonna move forward as an organization together, not just me as a quarterback, but me as a player that they were going to depend on in the future. And what I saw with Sam Darnold is, first things first, when he mentioned the New York Jets, he didn't even call them Jets. He called them that team, that organization. He didn't even call them the Jets. It took him a while before he mentioned the name, the team from New York. He never mentioned the Jets. So you see how upset Sam Darnold was with the New York Jets. And he mentioned Joe Douglas. He said Joe Douglas is a really, really nice guy. He's a great gentleman, and and a lot of people. Kim Jones asked him, "Were you upset when your mother went to Joe Douglas and said you need to build around Sam, you need to give him some weapons?" And then when she said, "Do you think he gave you any weapons?" and he started giggling and laughing about it. So we saw what Sam Darnold thought of the organization and how they were trying to build the team around him, and that they didn't do the right thing for him. And I agree with Sam. I think they just decided to move away from him because they just didn't think that he was the guy for the job. What bothers me about what Sam Darnold did, and I'm not going to take shots at the kid. He's a young kid. He's 23, going to be 24 before the season starts. He's still a very young option for the Carolina Panthers. You heard what Matt Rule said, and Matt Rule said it when he was interviewed. He said something very interesting. He said in the middle of the interview, when they asked him, is Sam going to be the quarterback of the future of your organization? He says, well, we're still drafting at number 8, and it doesn't mean that we're not going to draft a quarterback at number 8. So what does that tell you? It tells you that as good as Sam Darnold is on video and tape that he has watched, and he thinks that Sam Darnold fit what the Carolina Panthers were looking for at the quarterback. The reason why he fits, he couldn't get Deshaun Watson. He couldn't get Russell Wilson. He couldn't get any of the quarterbacks that he was interested in first, so he settled with Sam Darnold. That's the way I look at it with the Carolina Panthers. Now, do I think that Sam Darnold fits better than all the other options that they were looking at? Deshaun Watson wasn't going to Carolina. I never thought Deshaun Watson was going to Carolina. Russell Wilson, there was no stories coming out that he was going or he had any interest to go to Carolina. So the only thing that I saw, the only approach that the Carolina Panthers had if they were looking to get a young veteran quarterback was Sam Darnold. Now, I'm watching and I'm reading what people are saying. Speedy, what are they saying right now?
Jeff is saying Darnold going to the Hall of Fame now that he's not a Jet. And if the New York Jets were real jets, they'd be the Boeing 737 MAX that would crash immediately upon taking off.
You know, and I know a lot of people, and a lot of things that Sam said in that press conference, which I'm still asking Speedy to bring up, but he's not doing it. Are you going to bring it up or what?
Well, I don't know. I don't want to play any advertisements.
Just bring it up. I'm trying to play a part of the interview. I want to get the interview up so people can hear. You go to the middle of the thing because he made some great points about where he is as a quarterback and where he thinks going to the Carolina Panthers, and with the weapons that they have over there, and all, with Christian McCaffrey over there and some of the wide receivers. He even mentioned Robbie Anderson, and Robbie Anderson was the first person to reach out to him and congratulate him on coming to the Carolina Panthers, and that Charlotte is a beautiful place. And when you get a chance to check out Charlotte, it would feel like home. It will feel like you were in California, where he is in Orange County, or any of the places that even New York and where he was in New Jersey. It was very interesting. But do you have a video? Play a little piece of it. Here we go. Sam Darnold at his press conference.
Gotten to know Robbie a little bit. He has a way with words. What was the first thing he said to you when he found out?
Yeah, he was pumped. I mean, pumped for me. He knows, what kind of person I am, and he knows the town now of what Charlotte is, and the Carolinas in general. He said, "You're gonna love it. It's all ball all the time." And I think that's really good for me. It fits me and Robbie just the same.
Thanks, buddy.
And you just heard it right there. You heard what Sam Darnold said. He said that when he was talking about Charlotte, he's going to love it. It's all about football. And that's all Sam Darnold always thinks about is football. He also mentioned that when he walked through Carolina's doors and through the forum and everything, and he got a chance to look at all the stuff in the hallways and everything, he said that everything in Carolina, when it comes to the Carolina Panthers, is about football. And he was really throwing strikes at the New York Jets, or throwing whatever, curveballs at the New York Jets, because he pretty much said that everything that they talk about, everything that organization, when he walked through that doors, when he talked to Matt Rule, when he talked to some of the players, it was all about what the football team could do for himself, and what he could do for the fans and this whole city. So that is so interesting, because when you look at the New York Jets, Josh, and you look at where they are as an organization and what the Jets need to do to really fix what people think of them as an organization, throwing away from a 23-year-old quarterback who's really not throwing them under the bus, but he's throwing curveballs and trying to explain to you that the Jets organization don't have their heads in the right situation.
He's throwing them curveballs, like you said, in an underlining way, where, again, you mentioned it during the press conference. It took him a while to mention even the name of the New York Jets. And listen,
5 minutes. 5 minutes.
It took him 5 minutes to say the name. We've talked about this on our other show with the Weekend Crunch too. We've gone nonstop back and forth between Arrow and myself. I've gone in Speedy as well, where he did get a raw deal here in New York. He really did. And I just want to say this really quick. I wish nothing but the best for Sam. He seems like a really great kid. He loves the game of football. It just didn't work out for him here. That's not all his fault. Of course, it's not. They gave him a raw deal. They gave him no talent around him, no offensive line, no weapons to build around. I think he's butthurt a little bit by it because of how they treated him on the way out, and he's realizing. And then even at the end of the press conference too, they asked him, what can you tell the new quarterback that's coming into the situation of being the Jets quarterback? And he joked around. He says, don't listen to the media. Haha, I'm just kidding. It's stuff like that you could see where he kind of takes a dig at them, but not directly with their name involved in it. But he is taking a shot at them, basically saying, you guys kicked me out the door. I'm going to prove you guys wrong, that I'm going to show what I am as a talent. Now, Matt Rule, I think it's interesting what he's doing, saying that they don't know what they're going to do with the 8th overall pick. Because, look, we heard Cliff Kingsbury say when he got hired by the Arizona Cardinals, Josh Rosen is our quarterback, period, end of discussion. And then they went up to take Kyler Murray. So it's, how would Sam feel if they took, say, a Justin Fields fell to them at 8, or, I don't know, Trey Lance is there, or something like Mac Jones, somebody like that is there, and the Panthers take him. How is Sam going to feel at that moment? You thought he was replaced with the Jets. He goes to this new team, and this new team's already taking a new quarterback. How is he going to feel at that point? So basically, I think Matt Rule wants him to earn the spot. He has talent around him. I don't know if there's going to be enough. They have, obviously, McCaffrey's one of the best running backs in the game. You have Robbie Anderson, who he's comfortable with.
He has a couple of great wide receivers. It's not just one. They've got a couple.
No, not just one. There are a couple of them, of course. There are. And they have a lot more talented wide receivers than the Jets did. That's for sure. I mean, considering what he had to work with. I mean, Vincent Smith and all these guys, he doesn't have to work with them anymore. Practice squad guys.
You and that laugh. It's a terrible laugh.
Who was the kid from remember the one everybody was building up? The tall kid the Jets drafted he was undrafted from Georgia, the wide receiver that they brought in and he got hurt. Lawrence Cager.
Mm-hmm.
That was the one. And
yeah, that was one of the Weapons Hot favorites. I remember that.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
great player, by the way.
Well, I mean, look, CJ and I went back and forth with that for sure. It was because everybody felt he was going to be a great red zone receiver.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened was he was nothing and he got hurt, I think, after 2 games. So I think Sam needed a fresh start for sure. That's end of discussion.
But Snug says if Deshaun Watson isn't careful, he's going to be acquired by the Texas Penal League. Mm-hmm. Snug Ed Anthony character going to something about me. Anthony says I like the insubordinate Speedy, and Snug says I love when Speedy goes rogue. Jeff says it would be a waste of draft pick if the Panthers
insubordinate. First of all, not listening to me and doing whatever you want. That's what he means.
Jeff says it's a waste of draft picks if the Panthers take a quarterback at 8. Yes, that's very obvious now. And Jeff says Lawrence Cager can play. Let's get him healthy, clown shoes.
Well, I will say
Lawrence
that
Cager could play.
I will say this. You look at the big picture right now with the Sam Darnold situation. If Sam Darnold steps on the field and he plays well early in the season, a lot of shots are going to be taken by the Jets because we've been saying this over and over and over again on this show, on many shows, that if Sam Darnold had talent around him, he would have succeeded. And I think moving away from him, they better be damn sure that Zach Wilson or Justin Fields is their guy. And this guy in Sam Darnold doesn't turn out to be the franchise quarterback they thought he was going to be 3 years ago. Because if he is, and if it does happen to the New York Jets. And we've seen this happen with the Jets, not with the quarterback position, but every other position. We've seen players leave the New York Jets. James Furrier being one of them, goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers and becomes a superstar linebacker, a guy that they drafted early in the first round. We've seen this over and over and over again. So I just hope that the Jets are doing the right thing.
Carl says Mohamed Sanu, same quarterback rating as Edelman. Yes, Carl, I made those jokes for a while that Mohamed Sanu is essentially the Bengals and Falcons backup quarterbacks for a while. And Snug says Sam Darnold for MVP 2021.
I wouldn't be surprised. If his numbers are where they need to be. He's got the weapons. And the Jets didn't build around him. Denzel Mims couldn't even stay on the field. He had hamstring problems. Jamison Crowder, he actually had a full season of health, but everywhere else he's gone, and even last year, the year before that, he couldn't stay healthy. They can't keep anybody on the field, and they haven't had a number one wide receiver since who? Edwards?
Oh, you mean Rashad Perriman wasn't good enough for you?
Oh, give me a break. I mean, that guy's got worse pot hands than Robbie Anderson. I mean, seriously.
And then there was the great Devin Smith and Stephen Hill. I mean, the list goes on.
I mean, look at the Jets and look at the offensive weapons. Look at what the Jets have built around offensive weapons around their quarterbacks. They've all been garbage. And I think Denzel Mims is going to be a good player, but he's not a number one guy yet. They don't have a number one guy yet. And I don't want to hear about they bring in, what's his name? Corey Davis.
He's a 2.
Corey Davis is a great 2. That's what he is. Now, could he be a number one? We haven't seen him be a number one. In Tennessee, last year was his best year. He was one of the best red zone wide receivers in the league last year. But he also played for Tennessee where they had a top-end running back that can run and trample all over you, and Derrick Henry. I mean, right now where the Jets are, Jets don't have a running back like that. And don't tell me Tevin Coleman's the guy, because he's not. And we talk about Harris, maybe going after Harris in the draft, or even Etienne, whatever his name. Etienne says that he would love to play for the Jets. And one of the analysts that asked him, he said, what team do you think you would fit on the best? He said the New York Jets. Mm-hmm. So now all the Jet fans want to jump and say, you know what, let's draft him at 23 because he's the right guy.
Yeah, I actually think Etienne's a better scheme fit for the Shanahan-type offense than Najee Harris is, because he's a better pass catcher and better in space with agility and stuff like that. So I think that LaFleur-type offense is much better suited for Etienne if they draft him in the second round or something like that.
What did Snug say over here?
Snug says maybe the Jets and Jaguars should merge since they are both so awful. They would only ruin half as many careers that way.
And again, I'd like to make jokes about this, but it really bothers me because I am a Jet fan. And I stand up for the Jets, but this is an organization. Everybody, when we were at the event that we did at the bowling alley for autism the other day, and everybody asked me, well, what was the question, Speedy? Who was the worst franchise?
Yes, most dysfunctional franchise in sports currently. It was one of our debates.
And it was the Jets. I picked the Jets, and I'm a New York Jet fan. I didn't pick the Knicks, and there are a lot of New York teams that are dysfunctional. Let me tell you, there's a ton of them. The Mets being one of them. Hopefully, they're not anymore. There's something that's going to come out tomorrow about the Mets that's really dysfunctional. And by the way, somebody just passed away, Mr. Bernie Madoff. I don't really want to get into that thief of a man. But all in all, I think when you look at the New York Jets and where the Jets are and where they're positioned, to me, even though it looks like they're going up, they've always gone up, and they've fallen flat on their faces. And that's a huge problem going into a season where Zach Wilson, if it is Zach Wilson, which it looks like it is, Zach Wilson's going to have his trials and tribulations, and you're going to have a lot of growing pains with Zach Wilson. Now you got to start all over from scratch again with a quarterback that could be great, but we don't know. And Sam Darnold goes over there to Carolina and succeeds over there and wins a Super Bowl 2-3 years down the road.
Jeff says ETN is the best running back in the draft. I could definitely see that, especially with his pass-catching ability in today's NFL. Snug jokes is the Jets come to see if Blair Thomas is available.
They probably need him.
Carl says he would take Harris over ETN. It depends on if you need more of a pure runner or like that dual threat pass-catching back type. Not that Harris can't catch passes, but ETN is very good at it. So it depends on what your team needs. And like I said, I think it's more of the Jets. The Jets are running the Kyle Shanahan offense, and they love the
Could you stop with the Kyle Shanahan offense? I don't care. Just because there's a Kyle Shanahan disciple over there coaching and he's the offensive coordinator does not mean he's going to run the exact Kyle Shanahan offense. Sean McVay is from the Kyle Shanahan offense. Is he running Kyle Shanahan's offense? It's something like Kyle Shanahan's offense. It isn't Kyle Shanahan's offense. So stop saying Kyle Shanahan's offense. He is not Kyle Shanahan. It's Mike LaFleur. So it's a different guy. So, and he was the wide receiver coach, and the guy that was calling up and drawing up the wide receiving plays over there in San Francisco was Mike LaFleur. That's who was running it.
No, go on.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I wanted to ask you, I wanted to get your guys' opinion on this. Now, I never go on my phone, but I wanted to bring up the story really quick. That's why I wanted to get quotes. I don't know did you guys hear what Trevor Lawrence had to say this past week?
What did he say?
He said, and I wanted to get your opinion only because I want to hear if you think Zach Wilson or Justin Fields would get killed for saying this. Trevor Lawrence said this, I just think that's an unhealthy, basically, way of playing. He basically said, I think that's unhealthy, just always thinking that you've got to prove somebody wrong. You've got to do more. You've got to do better. You got to be better. And then Trevor Lawrence's dad came out and then said, he's not, I want to win a Super Bowl at all costs. And then his high school coach then said he could walk away from it tomorrow and be fine. So I ask you this question because, with the draft coming up and everything of that, with Zach Wilson and Justin Fields, when you hear Trevor Lawrence say that he doesn't feel he has to prove anybody wrong and that he's fine the way he is and you have a bad mentality, if you're thinking that way, don't you think Zach Wilson and Justin Fields would get absolutely slaughtered for making those comments? Something of that sort, Speedy?
Again, I don't mind it to some extent because I don't like when quarterbacks are overconfident at times, and even especially young ones like that. It's a middle ground just because, again, you want to have different approaches. Yes, Trevor Lawrence is not going to be the doubted one in comparison because he was this generational hype-type quarterback, especially from what he was as a recruit. So I can understand that to an extent, but every story is different. Every story is different, and sometimes that chip on your shoulder can work. You talk about Josh all the time, Josh Allen. Josh Allen is a guy coming from Wyoming. Obviously, a lot of FCS schools, small school guys are going to have that more. And again, Zach Wilson coming from BYU, everyone says, oh, he didn't play anybody, stuff like that. So, yeah, of course you're going to have the chip on your shoulder. But again, Trevor Lawrence is now still being thought of as the number one guy. But again, there are going to be still some guys doubting him. So I'm kind of in between on that, a middle ground type thing. I don't mind him saying some things, but again, at the same time, again, you still want to have some confidence.
It worries me when a quarterback comes out and says, well, he can lead. It's something his coach or his father,
high school coach,
high school coach. You cut me off over there. his high school coach comes out and says he can leave football right now and he wouldn't even care. That to me is something that you have to look at. Why would you draft a quarterback at number 1 knowing that he's not the person that throws himself out there where he's going to go out there? This is the same thing that happened with Josh Rosen. Josh Rosen, there were stories coming out that Josh Rosen was unsure if he wanted to stay as a professional football player, that he was a great tennis player, and he would have rather play professional tennis than play professional football. And a lot of scouts were saying that he's not dedicated to football. We've seen this. Ryan Leaf is another one. Ryan Leaf was another guy that everybody said had all the talent in the world, but didn't know if he wanted to play professional football. And you saw what happened to Ryan Leaf, and we've seen what every single quarterback that's come out, and we've heard those stories, Josh Rosen being another one. We heard that, and what had happened to Josh Rosen? You saw it. He's right now third or fourth string quarterback right now who's played four. He's been on 2 different teams. He's been traded for 2 second-round draft picks and 2 fourth-round draft picks, and really hasn't made any noise as a quarterback in the NFL. And I think he's on his 5th NFL team. 49ers, his 4th NFL team in 4 years. So who would have thought that when a lot of people thought that Josh Rosen had the most arm talent coming out of that draft with Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, obviously all the other Baker Mayfield, all the other quarterbacks.
I just get concerned. Like, I agree with Errol. I get concerned when you hear these comments and things like that because it just shows the mentality and the care. Is he all in on what he's about to get into? I mean, you're talking about coming into a dysfunctional organization, the Jacksonville Jaguars, with the number 1 overall pick. Who was the kid they did an ESPN 30 for 30 on? He was out of USC, right? He was supposed to be the next big thing, and he wound up going to the Oakland Raiders. I forget the quarterback's name. I don't know if you guys remember it. They did it for 30 for 30, and his father kept pushing him to play football. He didn't want to do it. He wanted to be to surf and be a surfer.
Oh, I think I know. I forget who it was. He
was
a
quarterback.
Yes. I do. But they said that about Carson Palmer too. Carson Palmer was a Heisman Trophy winner coming out of USC, and he wanted to finish his degree, and he wanted to be, I think he wanted to be an accountant or something like that. He wasn't sure about being a professional football player. We've heard this a lot. And Carson Palmer was a very successful quarterback. Say whatever you want. He was a successful quarterback. He played very well before he hurt his knee with the Cincinnati Bengals. And then when his career started falling apart, he went over there to Arizona. It took him a little while, and he figured things out in Arizona. So there's a lot of thought when you look at the quarterback. And by the way, Jeff is saying it right now. Who is that?
Marinovich. I just remembered the name.
Todd Marinovich. But to me, when you look at where a lot of these quarterbacks come out and they say the things that they say, and the fact that his coach came out and said that if Trevor Lawrence wanted to leave tomorrow, he can leave football. People, you hear what Sam Darnold says. It's all about ball. When I walked through the Carolina doors, it was all about ball. I love the game of football. I want to study. I want to learn. You heard it from Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson said that his mother came out, and when they were interviewing his parents, when they were talking about Zach, they said that Zach couldn't sit still because he has ADD, but he could sit there and watch film of himself playing football because he loves the game so much. So when you hear that from a player, that's the player that you want in your locker room. That's the player you want when it comes to trying to figure things out on tape. When you hear something like from a high school coach saying that, hey, if he left football tomorrow, he wouldn't care. That's alarming to me. That is alarming, Speedy.
Going back to some other comments, Carl says Altoon was the last number 1 for the Jets. Snugs thinks ETN will last longer than Harris will. Jeff says Zaven Collins from Tulsa. I agree. One of the best players, or the best player in the draft. Dude is a beast. And then Snug responds about Lawrence. So Lawrence is a well-adjusted individual who realizes that football is what he does, not who he is. I mean, that's another interesting interpretation to that. And I mean, they're right to some extent with what they were saying. You definitely want to have a little more commitment to what you're saying because of what you're supposed to be, a football player, a franchise quarterback. Now, we have heard other cases too, like Kyler Murray, because Kyler Murray's in the athletics organization. A lot of teams were skeptical to draft him because he wasn't committing to football either. He was a first round pick. He was, I don't think
he was a great baseball player.
Right. He was a great baseball player. I think he made it all the way to AA. I don't think he played in AAA, but he made it all the way to AA. So
he was a first round draft. I think he was the 5th pick by the Oakland A's.
Right. So I think if the Cardinals didn't draft him number one just because that was Cliff Kingsbury's guy, he might have fallen even into the middle of the first round or even
He was going to play
first
football
round.
no matter what. He already said that he was going to play football no matter what. Even if he wasn't the number one pick, he was going to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. That was his dream. That's what he decided. I was very surprised. And he actually gave back the money to the Oakland Athletics. Right. I think it was like $3 or $4 million, which he got a huge signing.
Yeah, it was
bonus.
the highest signing contract for a rookie for anybody.
So I think it's very unique when a coach, a high school coach, says that, and then you look at somebody like Trevor Lawrence. If you were the Jacksonville Jaguars right now and you're depending on this kid to be your franchise, this kid to change your franchise to be a Super Bowl contending franchise, would you draft him now when you hear it from his high school coach and who knows him very, very well, who's very close with his family, saying that if it came down to it and he decided to leave football tomorrow, he'd leave and not even shed a tear? That's alarming.
Yeah, Jeff.
It's even the mentality of winning. It's even the mentality of the fact that he's even saying that I don't have to go out of my way to prove anything to anybody. Like, I mean, to me,
yes, you do. You have done nothing. What did you do? That's the thing. What if he struggles and the media starts heckling him? I mean, what's he going to say? And the fans start bothering him. What's he going to say? It is what it is. Like, I'm okay with how I am. Like, that's not the mentality of an athlete. You can't go in with that mindset. If you do, you're set up to fail. So to me, he has to change his ways with that sort of thinking.
Jeff says Kyler played baseball or football because there's a quicker path to a big payday. Yes, you get paid like a first-round pick. Absolutely. And that was my argument a while ago. I forget who it was with when they were just trying to figure out he was still in a dilemma. Did he want to play football? Did he want to play baseball at the time? I think 3 years ago. And I was saying, you're not going to get paid like that in the minor leagues with football, especially quarterback contracts. If you're drafted as early as you were, and obviously he's the number one pick, yeah, you're going to get paid a lot of money right away. And even if it doesn't work out in those 4 years, which that's not going to happen with Kyler Murray, he's doing phenomenal. But
no, he's playing good, but he's also a small guy, and all he has to do is hurt his knee, and he could say, you know what,
point, yeah.
I don't want to play football anymore. I'm going to go play baseball,
Right.
And I'm sure there'll be teams lining up, especially a star athlete as good as Kyler Murray is, fast as hell, and even if he hurts his knee, he could still run on the bases. He's not going to be tackled a million times in a game. So I just think it's very, very unique when we look at the quarterback position. And speaking of quarterbacks, Justin Fields the other day had his second pro day. And it's so unique. It's so interesting when you talk about, we were listening, and I was actually out to dinner with my friend Eric, and we had Josh on the phone, and it was, he was so worried that the Jets were going, Joe Douglas, Mike LaFleur, and obviously Robert Saleh were going to the second pro day, which I said, even if they go to the second pro day, they're going to go there, they're going to do their checkup. More than likely, they're drafting Zach Wilson. He says, I don't know. I heard stories. There were stories coming out here in New York that Zach Wilson and his family were actually here looking at apartments and looking at houses in New Jersey. So I don't know how much that's true or how it's false, but I think the Jets already have plans to draft Zach Wilson. Unless Zach Wilson goes to number one, I don't think that's happening. Trevor Lawrence is going one. So to me, I think it's very unique because now I watched bits and pieces of Justin Fields' second pro day, and you saw a lot of Kyle Shanahan standing right next to him, giggling with him, talking, chatting with him. And it's so unique because everybody was talking. It's a foregone conclusion that Mac Jones is going to be drafted by the San Francisco 49ers. That's why they moved up, or it was Trey Lance. Now with what we saw in those videos and really the smirks and the laugh and by the way, they interviewed Kyle Shanahan after the pro day, and he said he saw more things in person than he saw on tape of Justin Fields, what he wanted to see and make every single throw that he wanted him to throw. What that tells me right now is there's a dilemma here because San Francisco has the opportunity to draft Mac Jones, who a lot of people think that they traded up for, but then Trey Lance had a great pro day. He looked fantastic. But now you're hearing that Justin Fields, if he falls to 4, that the New England Patriots could move up and snag him at number 4, which quite possibly could happen. I wouldn't be surprised if New England, if he falls to 4, that the Falcons will trade up with the New England Patriots to 4. And that could cause a huge stir, not only in the AFC, but the AFC East. And really where these quarterbacks fall if Mac Jones goes 3 and Justin Fields goes 4. So it's very unique. And I'm very surprised when you heard some of the different analysts come out after the pro day, the second pro day, saying that they're starting to swing that Kyle Shanahan's going to draft Justin Fields.
Which is what they should do. Jeff also says the same rumor, Justin Fields to the Pats at number 4. Book it. Deal with the Falcons coming. Well, you got to hope the 49ers don't draft him then. Shout out to Clarence who joined us. He says, what's up, fellas? And the Cardinals winning the division, which
I agree.
We have said on multiple occasions. As of right now, I don't know about you, Josh, but at least Errol and I agree. With
No,
that
I
at the
think they
moment.
are. They're the favorites.
Okay. And then Snug also says, I think referring to Trevor Lawrence, he's 6'6", runs like a deer, has a cannon for an arm, and won a national championship as a freshman. Yeah, I would still draft him number 1.
And Carl just said something.
And Carl also says, nah, I know he dealt with a slur from the baseball team, I guess referring to Kyler Murray. I get that, but could he be ran from competition as well? Just asking, not saying true. Again, we don't know because he's a minor leaguer. Tough to tell what kind of competition he would have had to play against. And again, especially now with no minor league season, he might have just gotten to jump right to the roster now that it got expanded.
Anything with the Pats, I would say that I believe that Jeff kind of has the handle on it and he's saying that the Pats would move it. And I heard stories that if Justin Fields, if there is a story coming out from San Francisco that they're going to draft Mac Jones, book it that the Patriots are going to move up and go to 4 with the Falcons and draft Justin Fields. I say book it too. And I trust that Jeff knows a little bit more inside stuff with the Patriots than any of us because he has an inside source over there. So, Josh, I mean, this story that you heard, Justin Fields, Kyle Shanahan, what are your thoughts to this?
Well, I mean, I'm hearing the same thing now. Now you're hearing all people are saying that there is a dilemma. Are they now all in on Justin Fields after the second pro day? I mean, I did, like you said, I talked to you and Eric. I don't know why Eric was so worried about it. I mean, they're doing their due diligence. This is what they do. This is what every organization does. It's the smartest thing to do.
It's Eric.
Except if you're the New York Knicks who don't send a scout to see Giannis Antetokounmpo. That's the only stupidity that there is out there. But that's basketball.
And the Jaguars who don't go to Justin Fields or Zach Wilson's pro day.
I mean, again, and that's another thing I didn't understand is that you should still send somebody out there to check out all the prospects. That's the amazing thing about it is that what does it hurt? You buy a plane ticket? It's ridiculous.
Jeff says Fields was the number 1 prospect coming out of high school. Promises were broken and decided to transfer. Yeah, I think my bad. Carl was referring to Justin Fields, I guess, as a baseball player, which is I actually didn't realize. But,
no, he did. He was a good baseball player.
Yeah, okay.
Very good baseball player.
Thanks for that information, Carl. And yeah, Jeff just said Fields is number 1 and decided to transfer from Georgia. Every organization but the Bears, Carl says. Yeah, the Bears, they're not smart with quarterbacks either. But don't worry, none of them have caught up to the Browns quarterback graveyard yet.
Go ahead, Josh.
So getting back to it, really quick, listen, whether the Jets draft Justin Fields or Zach Wilson, they're going to draft Zach Wilson. I think we all see that. But still sending a scout to check out Justin Fields was the right idea. If he falls to 4, the Patriots are taking him.
They're snagging.
No, they are. They absolutely are taking him, and as they should take him. And I think it would be the most sensible thing because you look at it like this. I think he would.
It's going to be terrible for the Jets. It's going to be terrible.
Awful for the Jets. But hey, look, if Zach Wilson does well for the Jets, then it kind of lessens the blow a little bit.
No, that you got to deal. You got to deal with Justin Fields now in the division. I wouldn't be happy.
You hope the 49ers take him.
I wouldn't want to be happy.
Take him. I mean, and then. Really quick, and then we get back to. I started this rumor too, and it blew my mind.
You started the rumor?
What?
You started this rumor? You said you started.
No. I read this rumor. It was a rumor that it was the Jets were offered the 12th overall pick from the San Francisco 49ers for Sam Darnold, and the Jets said no.
I don't believe that.
I can't believe that.
I don't believe that.
There is 110%. No way that is possibly true. The 49ers, why would they ever even think about even doing something like that anyway, whether that be the case? And number 2, Joe Douglas would never turn that down because that's the highest.
Yeah,
draft.
I was going to say Joe Douglas would definitely never turn that down. John Lynch, I could actually see doing that. So.
No, but I mean, look, I think, like I said, it's all about doing due diligence. You want to get as much tape in as possible. You want to get as many scouts' point of view of it. So when you go to the draft table and you get you want to be able to ask this person, what do you think? What do you think? You want to get different minds in the room. That's how it works as an organization. And there's nothing to worry about. I mean, whoever the Jets take, whether it be Fields or Wilson, you have to be positive about it with the fans. I mean, with the team, and that's all you can do. You can't do anything else. We don't make the picks. So
it's alarming to me. And anybody that sits here as a Jet fan says, "Hey, you know what? We're going to get Zach Wilson, even though he's going to be great." And Zach Wilson could be the best quarterback in this class. If Justin Fields is the second best quarterback in this class, and I gotta watch the Jets play Justin Fields 2 games a year, and then maybe even meet him in the playoffs, and he has a chance to beat us, and we didn't draft him, I will not be a happy happy camper. And knowing the New York Jets and what the Jets do and all the crazy stuff that happens to Jets, that will happen. And I know all you Jet fans, including you, Josh, including all the guys, CJ DeSimone and all those other guys besides Jackson, they all want Zach Wilson. I rather Justin Fields. I think he's more of the sure thing, even though I think Zach Wilson has all the capabilities. He probably has the best arm in this draft class. He probably has the best reads in this draft class. I take the sure thing. And Justin Fields, he is the sure thing. This is a guy that's played 2 years of straight good football. Zach Wilson's done it 1 year. He did it 1 year. So, and he played against not the best talent. Now, that doesn't matter because we've seen Josh Allen do it. We've seen Carson Wentz do it. We've seen other quarterbacks. Steve Young came from BYU. All that crazy stuff. That still doesn't answer the question. Is Zach Wilson better than Justin Fields? And the answer is, what we've seen on tape, the answer is no. The answer is no.
Josh, you're getting shots taken out of the comment section again. Carl said Josh started the rumor from Mad Libs. Jeff says Josh getting his trade rumor straight out of Mad Magazine. And then Snug says, I heard a rumor that Josh and the Beeve were both hired by Lenny Dykstra during his time with the Mets.
Christ. I mean, holy crap. I mean, this is ridiculous, man. I've done, three shows?
Well, now you know never to start a rumor
and
ever.
It's so funny because,
it's sports, man.
It's sport. And it's funny because Arrow and I, we were talking about this before, earlier in the day today. Mm-hmm. And to me, it's interesting. When you do, whether it's radio or broadcast or anything like that, you have to have such a thick skin because there's going to be people that like you and people that don't like you. So to me, I welcome it because guess what? It gets people a reaction. So if you think my stuff that I say is outlandish, well, kudos to you. I'm getting a reaction out of it, so I can give a crap. That's your opinion, and I got my opinion, so you can kiss my ass.
Jeff says even though you just started on the show, it's 3 shows too many.
Listen, 3 shows too many, and how many has he been on?
Oh, God. All right.
I don't know. Jeff's called a lot of shows.
But
you still have to catch up to that total.
It is all right. All right. It is confusing when you think about the position where all these teams are, especially the AFC East, which I think is one of the best divisions going into this season. When you talk about the Jets getting better, Buffalo is still going to be a favorite, everybody's favorite, as last year was everybody's favorite, especially on the NFL Network.
The NFL Network, Buffalo Bills.
Absolutely.
To the Super Bowl.
Miami, they got worse this offseason, believe it or not. They lost a couple of good defensive players. They did add some players that a lot of people liked, and they have a slew of draft picks, as you know, getting it from San Francisco, and the players that and the draft stock that they had over the last couple of years. I think that Justin Fields going to the Patriots is not a good sign. I don't care how good the Jets are in the next 2 or 3 years, or how good the players they bring from the draft. To lose a player like Justin Fields because you decided you're hypnotizing yourself and saying, you know what, Sam Darnold's not the guy. Justin Fields isn't the guy, even though a lot of people thought that Sam Darnold at one point, everybody wanted to suck for Sam. The Jets sucked for Sam. They still couldn't get Sam because the Browns made a mistake and decided to go at Baker, which it doesn't look like much of a mistake right now because Baker took them to the playoffs, and Sam Darnold hasn't won more than 13 games.
But if Sam Darnold was on that Browns team would be so much better.
Possibly.
Yeah, they were still coached by Freddie Kitchens, so that was still pretty sad in itself.
Possibly. What is Snug and Jeff saying?
Jeff says, Josh gives us a reaction, and the reaction is diarrhea. And then Snug says, please.
I had that earlier today, actually. Speaking of talking about Julian Edelman's burger show.
Snug says, please, start broadcasting the pre-show meeting, including the wax-smoking underwear check at Rumor Mill. And Carl says, yes, the production meeting where Speedy doesn't pull stock audio from and video from Vinny from Jersey Shore makes some rumors.
I'm waiting for shots at Arrow, man.
They always trust me. There'll be shots at me. I don't know why you want to bring it out. In this show, and you've never been a part of Below the Mic or Down to the Wire or any of the shows that me and Mikey C were on. I always got shot. Listen, you need thick skin. If you don't have thick skin, then you don't belong on this show.
Remember what Jeff did to me for the first 4 or 5 months that I was there.
Yeah, I mean, it's true.
It was way more brutal.
When I get on all the shows, but between this show, I mean, even Off the Mat, when I do Off the Mat with the wrestling show with Alex and Lyle, I get comments all the time, how my stuff is outlandish, everything like that. But you know what the point of it is? When you get a reaction out of somebody, it gives it a conversation starter, and that's what it takes. And if that's what it takes to get, like me and my clown shoes. Hey, listen, I got them on. That's okay. And if he thinks I got the clown shoes, then that's fine by him. But,
he's about to cry, guys. He's about to cry. I'm just kidding.
Who?
Yeah, you. I was about to say. By the way, Carl was saying Oreo, Mikey C, and then Oreos. Yes, and I there was a story behind the whole Oreo thing, but we've got a long show to go, so we're not going to really get into the Oreos. But we have Mark Kelly joining us in just a few moments. But I will say this. When you look at where the NFL is moving and you see all these young quarterbacks, and the new wave of quarterback is here now. We all know. We talk about Baker Mayfield, the Josh Allens of the world. I'm trying to think. Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, obviously Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson. We're talking about Tua, all these guys, Sam Darnold. We're talking about the new wave. Remember the wave that came out with the Eli Mannings, the Peyton Mannings, the Tom Brady's. Tom Brady's still there, but all of them are gone. You talk about all the different quarterbacks that have been in and gone. Now you talk about the new wave of quarterback and who is the next guy up in front. Everybody says Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes can break his hip and he could be done with his career. And Patrick Mahomes is also playing under Andy Reid, one of the best offensive minds in the NFL. You're talking about Sam Darnold. He was under the worst offensive mind in NFL history. All right? I mean, seriously. And then you look at the situation of where the Jets are right now. They have a rookie coach that obviously he brought in an offensive coordinator who's never been an offensive coordinator. Everybody says he's the next big thing since sliced bread. That doesn't mean that he's going to be. And you talk about the Patriots, say whatever you want. Josh McDaniels, as an offensive coordinator, has been successful. He's won Super Bowls as an offensive coordinator. He has. And none of these guys, no offense to even Robert Saleh, even as a defensive coordinator, did he win a Super Bowl? No. And that's the thing. We talk about wins, championships, and wins. If you want to say and you want to compare and contrast, the Jets are fighting and trying to win a championship. The Patriots have won 6.
Snug says, well, all we know is that Earl color codes by his mood by hat color. When he wears the black hat, it is a skull and crossbones screaming, Speedy beware.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But I just, it's like turmoil for the Jets. They're damned if they do, and they're damned if they don't. And that, as a Jet fan, that's all you have to say as a Jet fan. You just never know what the Jets are going to do. What stupid move are the Jets going to make that's going to set this team back? It hasn't happened yet, but will it? That's the question. And Zach Wilson going at number 2, they better be damn sure that he is the guy. Because if he isn't, you just lost yourself not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 quarterbacks that could have been a franchise quarterback.
Carlson.
Really quick, before we get to it, really quick, I will be happy with whoever, whether it's Fields or Wilson.
No, you wouldn't.
Whether it's one of the two. I
wanted Zach Wilson.
Whoever they draft, I'm fine with.
You wanted Zach Wilson.
But if they draft Fields, I'm not going to be upset about it.
Carl says Errol has been sleeveless for a week, and Jeff says Errol's had on the same outfit as last night. Do you even shower, bro? Snug says, does he own sleeves?
Actually, this is a different outfit, my friend. This is another vest. I have a bunch of them. So just so you know, this is a Armani Exchange. So just to let you know, Jeff. So yes. Armani Exchange one. Yesterday I was wearing an Express one. So hold on. Wait a minute. Yes, I do. So thank you.
Looks like Mark has
arrived. He's got a whole wardrobe.
But let's go to a quick break. We're going to go to a minute break. When we come back, Mark Everett Kelly here on the great and powerful Sports Loudmouths.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. This is the Sports Loudmouths.
Rock, rock, rock. What your baby wants? Ha, ha. What Speedy wants? Yeah. DMX, ladies and gentlemen. May he rest in peace. 50 years old, drug overdose, fell into a coma. Want to give a shout out to DMX's family. He will be lost and he will be missed. He will be lost, that's for sure. But sad story. A lot of crazy things happening in the world, and it's a shame. It really is. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, you can call us at 631-965-4990. You can go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Download our app on iOS, which is WWSRN, or Android, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. And guys, we are on iRadio USA now. Go and check us out. It's a great network. It's all over the country. They got networks all over for iRadio USA. One just opened up today in San Francisco, and we are the voice of sports on iRadio USA. So I'm very excited about that, and we are one of the one and only sports show, which is played on their network live Monday through Friday. So this is great. We're very excited to be a part of that network. Anyways, we have our guest, very good friend of mine, a brother to me, and a guy analytically I can match out with Speedy Petey, and that is Mark Everett Kelly. What's going on, Mark?
Hey guys, how you doing? Thank you for the wonderful compliments, Errol.
Well, I can't give Josh any compliments because everybody hates him. So
yeah, everybody hates me, Mark. That's really what it comes
everybody
down.
hates him.
I'm enemy number one.
He's one of the worst enemies on our show. So there you go. On our network.
On that note, it's nice to meet you, Josh.
You as well, Mark. A pleasure.
Well, Mark, we were just talking about Sam Darnold. We were talking about what the Jets decided to do walking away. I know you and me agreed that the Jets should have kept Sam Darnold and built around Sam. The Jets went another path. Did you hear the press conference that Sam Darnold had the other day?
I did not.
Well, Sam Darnold said some very, very intriguing and interesting things that threw me off and threw a curveball because I didn't think Sam had it in him. Even though he didn't say it in a bad way, he threw it in a way where he's taking shots at the Jets organization. He is.
Of course.
5 minutes into the show, 5 minutes into the interview, he never mentioned the team. He called him a team. He said the other organization. He never said the Jets. And he called them New York, too. He never even said the Jets. It took him a little while to figure that out or just really to spit it out. So a lot of things that he said, but the one thing that really threw me off is he said when he walked through the Carolina Panthers doors, it was all about football. And he said, and one of the analysts asked him, wasn't it like that with the Jets? He said, there were some points that I would think that and some points that I would think that it wasn't. So what are your thoughts to Sam Darnold's approach on taking slow shots but change-up shots at the New York Jets?
Well, look, I think that you have a young quarterback that really was thrown under the bus here. Everything that the Jets didn't do was almost like placed on his lap, like it was his fault. He was the reason for all the debauchery that's gone on there. And until we've had the latest, GM, head coach type of marriage with Saleh, I think that they just had a bunch of turnover. And with Douglas there now, he started a couple of years ago, but even when he came in, that was done backwards because he got hired after the draft. Like, why would you do that? It just screams of unprofessional. And I think that's pretty much what Darnold was saying. And you and I know that watching this team, I mean, I've been a Jet fan. I've watched them pretty much consistently since the mid-'80s. And it's been nothing but chaos. And there's been no consistency. There's been no set, well, this is the way we draft. This is what we look for overall, like the Steelers do, or like the Patriots have done under Belichick.
The Patriots?
Or even like the Chiefs have done under Andy Reid. The Jets never had that. They're starting to develop that now with Douglas a little bit. But I think it's really unfair. Darnold was put in a bad position. He didn't stay healthy. That's probably the worst thing you could say about him. But even, I mean, if you're working under Adam Gase, I mean, Adam Gase is not a very good offensive coordinator to be nice. I could say a lot of worse things about him. But he was put and given just about everything against him. So I would be really bitter if I was him. And he's right to reference them and to have this anger issue with the Jets because they never gave him anything really to work with. And then they threw him under the bus.
Shout out to Ray Mallard. Fields should be the pick, but they will make mistake and take Wilson. Jeff says Mark and Josh on the same show is like being diagnosed with whatever that is, and gonorrhea.
Syphilis and gonorrhea.
And then Carl wishes you prayers. 10 years since major Bama tornadoes. Rest in peace and to the lives lost. And Mark, obviously hoping you're staying safe as well.
Thank you. Yeah.
Mark, I wanted to ask you a question in regards to with the Sam trade and everything of that sort. In regards to why Joe Douglas did it, do you think it's in fact the reason being is because he didn't draft him, that a lot of organizations, when they come in, a lot of GMs or owners or whoever they are, they want to stamp their name to it. They have such an ego that they're saying, no, he's not the guy or she's not the guy. Therefore, I want to draft my own guy. So therefore, Sam has to go because I didn't pick him. Therefore, if I won with him, it would have still been like they would have made him a Mike McCagnon pick, whereas now he could take Wilson or Fields, and he says that's my draft pick. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, you asking me, Errol?
No, you, Mark. That's what we're asking.
I would say that if you're there are some GMs, I believe, that are like that. In today's day and age, you have to win as soon as you can. So if you have a quarterback that you think you can win with, that doesn't matter. I think there were too many question marks that Douglas had looking at Darnold. The main thing was his ability to stay healthy. I think that's kind of what he worried about. But I will say this, look, Justin Fields, I think would worry me because there are no real quarterbacks that have come out of Ohio State that have done anything. So that program, I'm not sure, develops pro-ready guys. But you know what? To be fair, you could say that about a lot of guys drafted high. Most of the guys that are coming out and doing well are not first-round picks. These are guys that were taken later in the draft.
Well, I will say this, first of all, and I agree with a lot of things that you say, Mark, but I disagree. It doesn't matter what school you came from or how these schools develop quarterbacks because they were different coaches and different offenses, different coaching, different ways they were developed when they were high school kids. So I don't think it has anything to do with the school. I really don't. Because I could say Steve Young went to BYU because he came from BYU. He's a Hall of Fame. Well, Zach Wilson's going to be a Hall of Famer? That doesn't mean anything. Okay? And that was years and years ago. So we don't know how these kids are going to be developed by a different coach. So I disagree with that. But I will say this. With all these quarterbacks, you're taking a shot. Trevor Lawrence, what has he done since his freshman year winning a championship? He's done nothing. He never won a Heisman. Never did. He never won a national championship again. The year after, he went to play LSU, and LSU wiped the floor with him. So, and then last year, he lost against Justin Fields. And the ball game before that, the year before to get into that championship game against LSU, he had to play Justin Fields, and Justin Fields outplayed him. So, again, Mark, you look at Trevor Lawrence, which you absolutely love. You told me.
I don't. I really don't like
I thought you loved him. I thought you loved him.
No, I wouldn't have taken him. I thought if the Jets had first pick,
I'm pretty sure you said that you loved him.
No, I didn't like him because he was in the ACC, so I didn't think the competition was strong enough. But I didn't dislike him. I just don't think he's going to be the be-all and end-all.
Who's the best quarterback in this class?
Okay, the best quarterback. Look, you guys are going to laugh because you can say I'm a homer, but I think it's Mac Jones.
Mac Jones.
Wow.
Come on.
Why do you think that?
Because he's Alabama. Because he's from Alabama.
Look, I know that. I know that's what you're going to say. And the one thing that makes me uncomfortable with that is that he's not going to have the athletes that he had at Alabama. He's not going to have the time to pass that he had at Alabama. So he had everything you could ask for to work with. Okay. But he did win. And he did, complete 77% of his passes, and he did throw for 4,500 yards, and he had 41 touchdowns and 4 interceptions this year. And he's very tough. When he had to answer the bell against a couple years ago against Auburn, he threw those 2 pick sixes. He came right back. It wasn't really his fault that he lost that game, even though he did kind of hand them 2 touchdowns. When you score 45 points against that Auburn defense, which helped that same LSU team to only 23 points. I think he really came of age. He had great wide receivers. He had a great coaching staff. But I think his accuracy, his toughness, and his ability to, I think, prepare. He's very, very prepared. And I think if he gets put in the right situation, he's going to do very well. I don't think that would have been with the Jets, though. I thought if the Jets would have taken him, they would have found some way to ruin him because they don't have the talent that he could win with now. If he goes with the Niners, I think he'll be okay. The Niners got some pretty good wide receivers.
No,
and they got I like that the environment he would go into. If he went to New England, I thought he would do well. So I think he'll do well in that coaching. But there are some guys, Errol, that it matters where you get drafted. I don't know if there's a guy out there that I really feel confident with that could go to any organization and win right away. I wouldn't say I'm not confident in any of the quarterbacks coming out this year. So, probably the most pro-ready is the guy from BYU, but he even had question marks before this year. So, I don't know. Every year it's the same thing. And then you love the guy last year from Oregon, and,
he looked special.
People did. You were right with that. He had the best year of any of the rookies. So sometimes you don't know with these guys. It's usually the guys that aren't the top guys that wind up doing well, later in their career. So, Patrick Mahomes was not a first-round pick.
Yes, he was. He was a first-round pick. Patrick Mahomes was a first-round pick. Patrick Mahomes was a first-round pick.
Well, but he wasn't. He didn't start right away.
Yes.
What I meant to say.
He missed a year, and then Alex Smith took over. I mean, Alex Smith was he was the quarterback, and then he took over for Alex Smith the one game at the end of the season. And Alex Smith was gone.
And he didn't come from like an Alabama or an Ohio State, or he didn't come from a
Texas A&M. Texas A&M.
Consistently.
They're a good program.
Yeah, but good programs. I'm talking about quarterbacks that go to top-notch programs. There's very few of them that are successful when they're picked in the NFL.
Well, I will say this: we have a caller. He wants to get on the phone. Jeff from Tampa. What's going on, Jeff?
I'm sorry. I just can't do this with this guy. This guy must have played a ton of football as a kid because he has CTE.
Why do you say that?
I can't sit here idly by and listen to him slander Justin Fields because Ohio State hasn't produced a good quarterback, and then sit there and say Mac Jones is good. Oh, really? What good quarterbacks has Alabama produced? Brody Croyle, A.J. McCarron.
Craig Krenzel. You got a lot of guys at Ohio State that have really been good. Give me a break with this bull crap.
Right, but you're going to use one reasoning to slander a guy.
No, I'm going to use a history of reasoning. And I don't know if you saw him play this year at all. But to complete 77% of your passes and throw 4,500 yards in that type of environment last year wasn't nothing.
Listen, you look like a terrible athlete, and you could have thrown the ball to Devontae Smith.
Well, I was a pretty good athlete before I got cancer, but don't bring that up.
Well, he's not taking shots at you on that, Mark. He's just telling you what he feels.
Jalen Waddle and Devontae Smith, it's easy to play quarterback.
I said that.
You realize Tim Tebow had Louis
I said that.
And Aaron Hernandez and all of these guys. How did his NFL career go when you have a ton of talented guys around?
We're not even close to comparing Mac Jones and Tim Tebow. They're nowhere in the same class.
No. I'm talking. If you go back to the draft time and you go and look at the teams, they're very comparable in the amount of talent each had around them.
No, they're not. No, they're not. No,
they're not.
You're gonna attack me and then say that kind of crap. Look at Tebow's. Did Tebow throw for 4,000 yards? Did he throw for 40 touchdowns? There's the complete 70% of his passes. Are you kidding me? You can say that and then come on as a legit person.
You realize 10 out of the
You're attacking me and you say something that moronic?
You have CTE.
Oh, I have CTE, yeah. I've forgotten more than you know.
Ohio State doesn't produce quarterbacks.
I've forgotten more than you know. I've forgotten more than you know.
Oh, I'm sure.
Anything you want to take me on, I will throw you out of the damn water.
At Alabama.
No, it's nothing to do with Alabama. I got a mind, and I get.
You should remember that great Alabama quarterback, Greg McElroy.
Greg McElroy. Okay, that fine. If you want to attack that, then name me the Ohio State guy. I'm saying that most major programs don't develop quarterbacks well. You give me a guy.
A guy from where?
From a major program that's been successful in the NFL last 10 years. Give me a guy.
Sam Bradford?
Sam Bradford. Yeah. Real good. Sam Bradford. Has he ever won a playoff game?
Baker Mayfield's not successful?
Has he won a playoff game? He won one playoff
Lamar
game
Jackson's
so far.
Not successful.
He hasn't had it. We'll see about Sam
Lamar
Bradford.
Jackson won an
We will
MVP.
see about Baker Mayfield. But he's one guy.
Carl says
One
Tom
guy.
Brady from
and
Michigan.
he hasn't done it yet.
Tom Brady, Michigan. There's lots of
Tom Brady
lots
was
of
a
successful
sixth-round
quarterbacks.
pick. He was a sixth-round pick.
Russell Wilson, Wisconsin.
Third-round pick.
You're talking about first-round picks?
Wisconsin.
You're talking about first round?
Powerhouse. North Carolina powerhouse.
Kyler Murray,
No,
Oklahoma.
you're making my point.
Kyler Murray, Oklahoma.
Who?
I mean,
Who
there's
from
been plenty
Oklahoma?
of quarterbacks.
Who from Ohio? Have they done it yet?
What are you talking about? Win a Super Bowl or win a playoff
No,
game?
I'm saying we don't know. The jury's still out on Kyler Murray and on Baker Mayfield.
Dude, no one's won a playoff game in history for the last 20 years. Tom Brady has owned everybody. So asking all of these guys to win a playoff game, it's going to be pretty hard, isn't it?
Roethlisberger's won playoff games. Russell Wilson's won playoff games. Matt Ryan's won playoff games.
So Boston College isn't a major school?
No.
They don't play
Are you just
Division I
specifying Power 5 or are you discussing powerhouse programs? Though there's a big difference.
The talk of the national championship. With Doug Flutie, maybe? Come on now.
I mean, there's plenty of good quarterbacks, but your reasoning why Justin Fields wasn't going to be a good quarterback was the history of Ohio State quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And yet then you say, oh, but Mac Jones is going to be great.
Okay.
Meanwhile, Alabama.
But Alabama didn't have the type of offense. Alabama didn't have the type of offense that they have now. Alabama was always a running offense. They weren't a quarterback-based offense. Alabama was not a quarterback-based offense. You understand that?
Alabama's quarterbacks play how you smell. Doggy doo-doo.
Oh, okay.
Jeff,
okay.
Jeff, I just have a question.
By the way, the first three Super Bowl MVPs were Alabama quarterbacks.
Who gives a shit?
Well, Mr. Know-It-All, Mr. Big Shot over there, saying that they're dog doo-doo. It depends what kind of system you play in.
In the last 100 years that
they didn't come from a passing offense, you moron. They weren't passers like Tagovailoa and like Mac Jones.
All right,
they
guys.
Are passers.
Talk. Let each other talk.
You don't come from a passing offense. You're not going to throw many yards.
A.J. McCarron for MVP. Good for you.
A.J. McCarron. Did they throw for 4,000 yards with McCarron? No. They were a running-based team that were led by their defense. They had a
Mark, but I have a question.
Years.
Mark, I have a question for you, and I'll cut in because I'm not going to take a shot at anything that you are saying, going back and forth, a major Power 5 teams or whatever. But to say that Mac Jones is the best quarterback in this class, when you've seen Trevor Lawrence play, you've seen I don't care if Mac Jones won a national championship this year. The talent that he had at Alabama, they're saying Alabama, that was one of the best Alabama teams they've ever had.
True.
So,
that's the question I have. Can he do it with guys that aren't?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
I don't think he can. He's not a mobile quarterback. And the success story of what we've seen in quarterbacks that have come into the league in the last 5 years, you got to be a mobile quarterback. A pocket present quarterback is not successful anymore. Even Joe Burrows, who everybody said is a pocket present quarterback, he's a guy that has mobility. I don't think that somebody like Mac Jones, he's not a mobile guy. What did he run? What did he run his 40-yard?
I don't think he did one.
I rest my case.
He's more mobile than
Mac Jones runs like a 4-week 40.
Yeah, he's more mobile. He's not very mobile, but he's more than you think. But again, you asked me which one I thought would have the best career, which one is the most pro-ready. I think he is. But again,
you said Zach Wilson is.
Right. No. I said Zach Wilson comes from a program that prepares him.
No, but you said he was the most pro-ready quarterback in this class.
Yeah. I said Mac Jones is the guy I think will have the best career of the quarterback.
I honestly think
it depends where he gets put.
I would be surprised with that.
I would be very. I'll tell you what, Mark. If you're right, and somehow Mac Jones is the best quarterback in this class, I'll give you $1 million. Okay, because there's no way in hell that this guy is going to be the best quarterback out of all these quarterbacks we talk about. Trey Lance, Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, and you're going to take Mac Jones? There's no way. I'm sorry. I don't care if he comes from Alabama and he has wings.
Yeah, I don't care if he comes from Alabama either. I'm just saying that the way I saw him play in college, the one thing that I would worry about is if he gets put in a situation where he doesn't have some talent around him, I don't know if he's going to be that good. But if he gets put in the right situation,
what talent?
That's any quarterback that gets drafted. That's any quarterback that gets drafted.
No, it's not, idiot.
Who was around Josh Rosen when he was drafted in Arizona? Who was around Josh Darnold, Sam Darnold when he was drafted?
You can't say something like that and then say you're legitimate. You can't say something like that and then tell me you're legitimate. Josh Rosen, really? Think of somebody else a little bit more qualified.
Who was around any of these guys? Listen, everyone that's turned out to be a bust is because they've been drafted high and into
Andrew
bad
Luck wasn't
situations.
around that much talent. I mean, they were 1 in 15 the year before.
Yeah.
That's how quarterbacks fail, is they don't have people around them, and that's because they usually, this is what happens to good quarterbacks. They get drafted high because the team is terrible, and they usually fail. It's why Tim Couch failed. Jamarcus Russell is fat. That's why he failed. But most of these other guys fail because there's no one there ever. So you want Mac Jones to go to the perfect situation. Listen, he's got just as
I said
good a
if
shot.
he goes to the right situation.
Mark, I agree with you. Mac Jones has just as good a shot as anybody else as being a good quarterback. But trying to justify it by saying Ohio State doesn't produce good quarterbacks, but Alabama does, is nonsense.
I didn't say Alabama does. I said Alabama didn't have the system that passed the ball a lot. So they weren't putting in good quarterbacks into the draft. I wouldn't say Brody Croyle or Greg McElroy were big-time college quarterbacks that were expected to produce in the NFL.
AJ McCarron went undefeated, I think.
Well, we have
nobody
fans.
really expected AJ McCarron.
Mark, and Jeff. We have fans that are speaking. So go ahead, speak.
Yeah, I was just going to ask Jeff because you were arguing about like powerhouse schools versus Power 5 conferences. Carl was asking about Russell Wilson doesn't count. I know Snug mentioned Justin Herbert as well and Phillip Rivers, who again they're Power 5 schools technically. They didn't go that. So is that what you were specifying, or powerhouse?
Yeah. Read what everybody said,
Yes.
Speedy. Read what everybody said, so everybody gets a chance to speak because they can't call. So read what everybody said.
Carl says Trevor Lawrence had all kinds of talent around him, and is much more mobile than Jones. Yes, that is obvious. And Snug says Dak Prescott he's going to win 3 straight Super Bowls very soon.
There's more. There's more.
Snug says David Carr, good quarterback, sacked every third play. Yes. Yeah. Also playing with an expansion team.
This is my producer. He's supposed to read this, and he laughs at everybody else instead of speaking. But go ahead, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you're making the case, Speedy, when you say that Trevor Lawrence had good people around him. I mean, and he kind of did. But if you look, both Alabama wide receivers are predicted basically top 10 picks. Where's Powell and Amari Rodgers slated to go? Fifth round? I wouldn't exactly say that it's an even playing field what Trevor Lawrence was working with versus what Mac Jones was working with. Because you can make the argument that Etienne and Harris, you can flip a coin and have your preference, and they're basically the same. But the offensive lines and the receivers are far superior in Alabama. Far superior.
That's a good point about Etienne and Harris. I said the same thing. They're exactly the same. They both have very good feet running between the tackles.
Slug also says, well, if he really only has good players around him, he will be good clown stuff. And then Carl says 5 stars all around number 2 class every year, Jeff. Come on. I guess in reference to Clemson.
Yeah, every player that's like their top player is a defensive player. You should pay attention to the recruiting boards because that's the realm that I worked in, and that's why they have top recruiting classes, not because their wide receivers are amazing.
I will agree with Jeff because Jeff has been working with college kids and what he has done over the years. So he has some insight with a lot of these college players and a lot of these college teams because he's got connections around the college.
I mean, I just have eyeballs. Is Amari Rodgers as good as Devontae Smith? Use your eyeballs.
Not even close.
Well, we got to see what Devontae Smith is in the NFL too.
Is Powell as good as Waddle? Use your eyeballs.
Carl says, okay, Jeff, so discredit all of us. And Carl says, I work with college kids, too. All right.
Right, he molests them.
Oh, stop. That's Jeff, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, it's not even close. Even the depth, you even know ridiculous receivers down the line at Alabama. John Mechie and Slade Bolden, and they got the 2 big white kids playing tight end for them.
Barstow.
That were good. Billingsley and gosh damn, I'm gonna forget the other kid's name. I feel terrible.
Barsol. Yes, it is.
Right, and so you know on Clemson, Travis Etienne and Amari Rogers, and then Sunshine Bass from Remember the Titans plays quarterback.
Yes.
Snugs, Carl says, right, Jeff?
Sunshine.
Right, Jeff? Insult to make your point more relevant.
Sunshine!
And Snug says, that's where the fumbling comes into play on the show.
I mean, but this is my point. Is like when you go, Trevor Lawrence is still considered a much better quarterback than Mac Jones. And by the way, he was in the national championship like every year with Doggy Doo.
And also, remember too, Jeff, they lost Justin Ross at the beginning of the season too, which was supposed to be his number one receiver and the closest thing probably to a first round pick.
Don't go help making my point. People will get mad at you.
That laugh is terrible. It's the worst laugh in creation known to man. It's like a crow in heat. Okay, it's terrible. It really is.
I'm going to forget the three guys, right? I'm really going to do this. But when someone's mentioning, Clemson's the top recruiting class every year, it's because they had Clelin Ferrell and who was the entire defensive line?
It was Christian Wilkins. Christian Wilkins was the other one. Christian Wilkins was,
and there was a third one.
Guy on the Giants. The guy on the Giants.
And Dexter Lawrence.
Dexter Lawrence.
But this is what I'm saying. That's their recruiting class. They get defensive guys is what they get. Their highest rated guy that they got in the last 3 years is probably DJ Uiagalelei, right? Who's going to take over for Lawrence. But even then, you saw him as a freshman. He's not even close to what Lawrence was as a freshman. Uiagalelei came in and looked shaky at best.
Yeah.
He did his best Michael J. Fox impression to get them through 3 games.
Oh, Jeff with the spin-off attacks against people. There he goes. Jeff.
I mean, when DJ Uiagalelei took over this year, did you think it was a seamless transition? And
No.
He was the number 2. He was the number 2 rated quarterback in this high school class, the number 2 guy.
Mm-hmm.
And it was night and day when he came into the game.
Well, I would agree with you. I would.
Hey,
but,
Jeff.
Yeah, go ahead.
Jeff. Let me ask you a question. I do think Kyle Trask is going to be doing the pros.
I couldn't hear all of it. Errol, can you repeat that?
Yes. Go ahead.
Kyle Trask. How do you think he will do in the pros?
The only thing that I can completely say that I 100% agree with Mark on, and that I don't think that there's any arguing, is it's all going to matter. Like, people that go later in the draft are in a better position because generally they're going to come in, they're going to wait, and they're probably going to be in better positions, right? They're probably going to be going to the I don't know who needs a quarterback, but the Seattle Seahawks. They might be looking
the Saints,
to move on
maybe.
to Russell Wilson. Right, the Saints or something like that, right?
Or even the Patriots.
So generally, they're going to be coming into better teams. I'll tell you, I think the guy that has the best shot of being good, that's not your obvious guy, Fields, Lawrence, Mac Jones, like those guys, is probably Kellen Mond.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I can see that too. He struggled a little bit with consistency, but this year he was a lot better. The senior year he was a lot better than he was his previous years.
If you're looking for a sneaky quarterback, one that's good, one that nobody talks about, I'm not even sure if you guys have even heard of him, Jamie Newman would be one.
Oh, yeah, he was supposed to play for Georgia. He sat out the season.
Yeah.
Right, but he was a 4-year starter at Wake Forest. He killed it. He can run. He can throw. He's a bit of a project. He's a 4-year guy, and generally 4-year guys do better.
Carl says, so their offense wasn't a top 10 offense in college every year. Of course they were, acting like they had no talent. And then Carl also says, so just dodging the question about Trask, the answer the question, do you think Trask is going to be a good prospect?
You want the short answer? No.
Okay.
I mean, let's face facts and be honest, right? There's 5 quarterbacks at the top of the draft. If you were to throw out a number, how many of those 5 make it?
2. Usually it's 2.
Right. So, okay. So past those 5, you have 13 more. You got Newman, Mond, Ian Book, Trask. There's a whole slew of guys down the line. So how many of those guys are going to make it? They're all going to come in. They're all going to be backups. And how many of them get lost in the shuffle? Because guess what? Next year, they're drafting more quarterbacks.
Yeah, Carl agrees 2 at most usually with these big classes.
It's usually 2.
Yeah.
It usually is. And there are very few, like Eli Manning, there were 3. You had Phillip Rivers, Eli Manning, and obviously Ben Roethlisberger.
But again,
all 3 of them were good quarterbacks.
Again, though, there's always things that happen, like the situation in Pittsburgh. That fat rapist gets hurt, and Duck Hodges comes in and played well, so he stuck around, right?
He's crazy.
Legend that beat the Chargers.
Oh my God, he's crazy. I love you, Jeff.
There's always going to be guys like that that are going to go to good teams.
Mm-hmm.
That unfortunately a starter is going to get hurt. It inevitably happens every year,
Mm-hmm.
and some no-name idiot like Duck Hodges comes in and plays okay.
Carl asks,
how do you think Taylor Heineke got a contract?
Jeff, Carl wants to know, how about the guy from Stanford? CBS Sports projects the Bears to take him in the 2nd round. Please, no, is what Carl says. What do you think?
Yeah, honestly, I think Mills is a good prospect, but he's honestly a bit of a project. And he could be the perfect Bear because he played. No. He could be a perfect Bear because he played in a system that wasn't very pass happy. He's accurate at times. And let's be honest, that's kind of the Bears' offense.
He's awesome. Jeff, before we let you go, I will say this, and I know you both have your own thoughts on who the top quarterback in this class or who's going to be the best quarterback in this class. If you were to pick one player, Jeff, that you would draft, if you had one choice, take out the quarterbacks, who would you draft at number 1 without the quarterbacks?
Hands down, without a doubt, the best player in this draft is Zaven Collins. Not close.
Wow.
Not close. If you ever watched any Tulsa football games, which I'm sure all your listeners have because they're all so freaking knowledgeable, right? And Zaven Collins is a beast. He owned people. Tulsa had, I think, the 3rd-rated defense in all of college football last year. It's because Zaven Collins was dry humping every quarterback in their division up and down the football field. He is a ridiculous run stopper. He can run sideline to sideline. He is he's Aaron Donald at linebacker.
Ooh, wow! I know who he is. I've seen him play a few times this year, but I didn't think he was that good. I didn't think he was that good.
Very fast.
Other guys get more pub, obviously, because they play sexier positions. You know about Waddle. You know about Devontae Smith. You know about Jamar Chase or Kyle Pitts because they catch touchdowns. Well, Zaven Collins had more people that he sent to the hospital than any other player in college football this year.
Yeah, that's a good point. He's a bit of a freak, this guy. I really liked what I saw of him, too.
So was Jadeveon Clowney. What kind of freak is he in the NFL now? He's all over the place. So they said he was the next Lawrence Taylor. Oh, he's a freak of nature. Yeah, he's a freak. He's been bouncing around since. He's bouncing with the Browns. We'll see how long that lasts.
Carl says,
it wasn't a talent problem, though, with Clowney. It was just his head. If Clowney played like Taylor, he would be better, but he doesn't.
You think that Clowney would be as good or better than Taylor?
I said he doesn't have the intensity that Taylor
I don't think he has anywhere close to the talent as Taylor did.
He didn't play every down. He had freakish talent, but he never really seemed to be as dedicated.
Mark, I love you, but Lawrence Taylor, some people say, is the greatest defensive player to ever step on the field.
I'm not saying he was Lawrence Taylor, okay? I'm not putting him in that class. What I'm saying is that what stopped Clowney from being better is that he didn't play every down.
Carl says, I guess in reference to Zaven Collins, he's like Roquan Smith. And Snuck says, please start including...
Zaven Collins is like if Roquan Smith had an attitude problem.
Snug says, please start including dry humping in the pre-show meeting. Oh, God, Snug.
What is this with the pre-show meetings?
I swear to God, I'm begging everybody, please, God, go and look at Zaven Collins highlights. You will get a concussion watching YouTube.
And you think he's going in the top 10?
No, he won't be a top 10 player. He'll probably be somewhere around 20.
Interesting.
But that's because it's already been predetermined. The top 5 draft picks are probably quarterbacks,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
After that, you got 3 wide receivers and a tight end because that's the way the league's going. It's offense.
Panay
The draft
Sewell maybe to the
starts
Bengals, probably, I would imagine.
Right. The draft starts at 10. We already know who the top 10 picks are. It's the worst kept secret this year, I think.
It's interesting.
And if you you're going to get, because the draft is falling the way it is right now, or seems to be falling that way.
Yeah.
There's going to be so many good players that get pushed back because
I know, I
people are
said that.
reaching- Right, people are reaching for a pair of clown shoes like Mac Jones, thinking he might be good.
Jeff, thanks, man. We really appreciate it. I love Jeff. Jeff, thank you for calling.
Errol, always a pleasure. I love calling in because you can't hear Josh.
Thanks, Jeff, for the love. Appreciate it.
Oh, I
mean,
love Jeff.
in his defense, he did go a good half hour directly
he didn't
insulting
attack
you.
He didn't attack you. But you want to know something? He made some quality points. There were a lot of things that he did say, a lot of crazy things. But Jeff is a crazy person. But he has his insight. He has a lot of connections in college football, so he knows his inside stuff. And I'm telling you, he's not faking on what he says. There's a lot of things that Jeff has called over the years when it came to college football, and he was dead on. And you asked Speedy. Dead on. So if he's telling you that, I would probably take his word for it, okay, when it comes to college football. As far as what you're saying, Mark, I would agree with you that you just never know with the quarterback. I just think it's more of a curveball to say that Mac Jones is the guy that's going to come.
Time out. You guys are putting words in my mouth here, okay? I didn't say Mac Jones is going to be the next great quarterback in the NFL. You asked me which guy I thought was could
best
do the
quarterback.
best if put in the right situation. I think Jones is ready if he gets the right situation.
But didn't
If
you
he
say
goes
Zach
to the
Wilson?
Jets, no.
But did you say that Zach Wilson was the best ready quarterback to come into this draft? You did say that.
Who? Zach Wilson?
You said Zach Wilson. Did he not say that, Josh? He said that.
I'm pretty sure you said
Mark.
Zach
I think you said
Wilson.
I think you said
BYU.
he was the most ready.
You said
I think
the guy.
he's the most. He probably comes from is the best fit for the Jets because of the offense he comes from. But I don't know if anybody can win.
He's got the best arm in his class by far. By far. Everything that I've read about Zach Wilson, it's not even close. None of these guys, even Justin Fields, even Trevor Lawrence, none of them have an arm like him.
Well,
None
Mark,
of them.
what are your thoughts on Zach Wilson itself? Like, what are your thoughts on how you think? What are your pros and cons?
He doesn't like him.
Yeah, look, it's hard to say that I really like anybody when I've seen the Jets draft Sanchez and Darno and just not be successful. They've never really drafted a good quarterback to begin with. So I think a lot of it depends what situation you put him into. I don't know if any quarterback can come out right now and get drafted by the Jets and develop into a star right away. I need to see them develop in a pro offense. There are a lot of guys I like in college that don't really register in the NFL. Because of a number of reasons, because of the coaching staff, because of the wide receivers they have, because of the environment, they're not used to playing in New York, whatever. There's a lot of things that go into it that I haven't seen yet. So it's hard for me to say, I think this guy's going to be really good. I think that guy's going to be really good. When it comes to the Jets, that's very hard for me to do. I've never seen it. As far as guys who I think are pro-ready, though, that I think will develop and be the best, after all is said and done, I think that Jones is the best prepared to do that.
Snug says, laughing emojis, quote of the night, who Zach Wilson, after only half an hour ago portraying him as the Mormon incarnation of God's gift to football. Dude is a clown. I guess that's a clown. It's a weird looking clown.
Aaron, what do you think of him? I mean, do you think which guy do you? I thought you just
honestly
say with Darnold because he's in there, but.
I'll tell you. I've been saying this over and over again. If I were to pick the top 5 quarterbacks in this class, I'd put Justin Fields 1, Zach Wilson 2, Trevor Lawrence 3, Trey Lance 4, and then Mac Jones. The reason why I would put Zach Wilson 2 is there's a lot of things that really stand out when you talk about an NFL quarterback and what you look for an NFL quarterback. Arm strength. He's got the best arm. accurate over 20 yards. He's 71%, which is second right behind Mac Jones. But Mac Jones had all those talented wide receivers to BYU's nobody, okay? Then you look at what he sees. Second and third options. He sees the field better than any quarterback in this class. People say that Zach Wilson is the best NFL-ready quarterback going into this draft class. There are a lot of things, but there are things about Zach Wilson that scare me. He's had shoulder surgery on his throwing arm. That scares me. Chad Pennington being one of them. That definitely scares me. We've heard stories about he's had ankle problems over the years with his ankle and his left knee. So that scares me too about his injuries and his concerns. Also, he had a problem with his thumb the year before that, and they said that his thumb hasn't fully healed. That scares me. Anything when you hear a quarterback is hurt and he's going to the Jets, it scares the hell out of me. That's what it does. It scares the hell out of me. If it was, see, Justin Fields, he was the best quarterback coming out of high school, even from Trevor Lawrence. This guy has beaten Trevor Lawrence. I think he's outplayed Trevor Lawrence both times he played Trevor Lawrence. Both times. And Trevor Lawrence hasn't won anything since his freshman year. What has he done? He never won a Heisman. He never did anything. He was on two of the best teams in the college game for the last 2 years and has won nothing. So that's where I go for. And Justin Fields has the best athletic ability by far than any quarterback in this class. By far. That's why.
I think when you look at Fields and when you look at the quarterback from Clemson, the real reason why Ohio State lost 2 years ago is because they didn't turn those possessions into touchdowns that they did this year. Every time they got in the red zone, they settled for a field goal 2 years ago. And that wasn't enough. Then Clemson came back. So I like Fields' toughness, especially this year. He took a real hit in that game against Clemson, and he kept playing, and he showed that he was tougher than I thought he was. So I'll give him that. I just don't know. Again, I don't know how a quarterback's going to be able to make the reads and to look off his safety and also make up for speed from college to the NFL. There's a drastic difference in recovery speed. So a lot of those guys, you don't know until you see it. And that's always what scares me in predicting who's going to be the best.
Well, Mark, before we let you go, because I love you, and I want to get you on more on the show because your insight. We're having an NFL draft party. We're going to be doing the show on the NFL. We're going to have a bunch of people. We're going to have a slew of guests. I'm going to try to bring some NFL players as guests. I'm going to get Brandon Jacobs on it again this year. I'm hoping to get two other ex-NFL players, maybe an NFL player or a future NFL player that's going to come on the show and join us. So I would definitely like you to come on the show. Your insight is definitely something that we definitely would love on this show, especially the draft show that we have. Why don't you tell the fans how they can find you?
I do a local TV show down here in Alabama. I'm on Facebook. I'm not really on too many other social media outlets because I've had it with social media. But you can find me on Facebook under Mark Everett Kelly and then CK Magic Sports, which I'm getting around to rebuilding again because I've just been busy doing a lot of other things.
You're a hard worker, man.
Yeah, COVID's been crazy and recovering everything. I mean, the things that I've come out of. And the health battles I face sometimes a little overwhelming for me. But I'm doing the best I can. And I like the show I do. I like the guy I work with, Errol. I was thinking about when to have you on again.
Absolutely.
Because you were pretty popular, you and Speedy, when we had you guys on a couple months ago. So that's where they can find me. And then if they go on Facebook or they go on YouTube at CK Magic Sports, you can see all the videos we post from our show that me and Gerhard do down here on WOTM.
We're going to talk about, because I want to get Mark on the, we want to get you on a show for an hour, a show of your own. And with everything that's going on with our network, and there's a lot of big news that's going to be happening in the next week or so, which I'm going to make an announcement. It's going to be great. I think if you love sports, you're going to love the stuff that we're going to be doing in the very, very near future. So, Mark, thank you for joining us, bud. Stay healthy, and I'm going to talk to you. I'll talk to you tomorrow, my friend.
But before I go, I just want to say, like, I got a little heated with Jeff. I like Jeff. I really do. And he normally doesn't attack me like that. So I was just a little taken. But I'm sorry that it came off a little angry. I'm just not used to guys challenging my knowledge on things. But I appreciate Jeff. I certainly do respect his opinion.
Don't worry, Mark. It took you that long. It took me one show to piss him off. So that's
Jeff has one more dig before you go. He says, "Don't worry, Mark. We don't want to find you." In other comments, Carl said, "Mac Jones sat behind 2 starting quarterbacks in the NFL. That could be a bonus." And Carl says, "Quick, make up a rumor, Josh, to chime back in."
No.
Well,
Listen,
I'm glad I made so many fans.
I just thought we were the sports loudmouths, but boy, oh boy, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe Mark and Jeff could have a show in the future.
They could. That would be a great show. That would be a great show. Holy crap.
Snug says the NFL draft party will be held in Miller's Ale House in Ronkonkoma, and all of the fans are invited. Free food and drinks, just to tell you to put the server on and put it on the Marks tab.
Thank you, Snug. Anyways, Mark, thank you for joining us, bud.
Thank you, too. Love you guys. I'll talk to you soon.
Mark Everett Kelly, good friend of the show, great guy, one of my good friends. And yes, he's got his own take, but he knows his stuff too. Nobody's going to take that away from Mark. The guy has it. He knows his sports, especially college sports over there in Alabama. But before we get into some baseball conversation and basketball conversation, I want to finish up with football. And we were talking about the quarterback play. But to me, Josh, and I the inside of where the NFL is going, and we talk about the quarterback and how important the quarterback position is, but what do we say all the time? Defense wins championship. And I look at this draft. There, Jeff was talking about, what's his name again?
Zaven Collins.
Zaven Collins, who he says is a beast of a man.
And I wanted to ask Mark that question: who we thought the best player was in I'll ask him next time who he thought was the non-quarterback best player he thought it was in the draft.
I think he mentioned it on a previous show. I think he said Devontae Smith.
Devontae Smith.
Yeah.
Wow. He did.
I'm pretty sure he said that.
He loves Devontae Smith.
I do too. I don't have him above Sewell as an overall non-quarterback prospect, but he's up there.
He said that Devontae Smith, to him,
special.
It was very, very special. And the last guy that he's seen that could play the game like he can with full speed is Julio Jones, which you're saying that about Julio. If you're comparing him to Julio Jones, he says Devontae Smith is the best wide receiver he's seen come out of Alabama. That's what he said.
That's a bold statement. Mm-hmm. You're talking what's
top
that?
wide receivers.
Calvin Ridley's been playing better. Amari Cooper.
A lot of great. Now, even before them, if what Alabama has held. Go ahead.
Carl says, talk about reaches. Kwity Paye, super overrated, but will go high because of lack of defensive end talent in the draft. I completely agree. And a lot of Michigan players, except for Devin Bush, really, in the NFL, especially in the front seven, have had their issues. Jeff says there's nothing not to like about Devontae, but Zaven Collins will murder humans.
It's to me, when we're talking about position and position in need, I look at the cornerbacks. There's a lot of teams looking for that number one corner, and they're very, very hard to find. I think people forget that when you look at the grades and trying to grade a position, right now going into this draft, being that the quarterback in the offensive game has completely transitioned and has gotten harder to defend, you need that shutdown corner. And there's not many shutdown corners in the NFL. Maybe you can count them on one hand. So you look at there are 3 shutdown corners, people are saying, in this draft class. And one of them could fall out. And they're saying Farley, because of the back injuries, he could fall all the way to the second round, where if he's a steal in the second round. If he falls anywhere out of the first round, you draft him. The Jets are drafting second in the second round. I draft him in the second round. But I've been hearing that the Jets are very interested in this Newman kid. And they're saying that he could be the best shutdown corner. I know people are saying Horn, you being one of them. I know Jeff likes him. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of different people that like certain players. And there's a lot of things that I look at the draft, Josh, that maybe me and you might look at the draft completely different, or we would attack different functions of how to draft a player. But I will say this. When you look at this draft is covered with offensive linemen, especially guards and interior linemen. You can get a good interior lineman in the second and third round. And also, there's a lot, believe it or not, there's a lot of corners in this draft class. A lot. And people forget that just because they're not top-graded corners, like we just said, the 3 guys, Farley, Horn, and Newman,
Newsome.
Newsome. There's a very interesting fact that you can get a good corner in the second and third round as well.
Carl says, just be like the Bears and cut your number one corner. Yes, nobody said Ryan Pace was smart.
Look, I look at it like this. You're even hearing reports, and Arrow, I think we talked about this with Eric the other day, that I'm hearing, we talk about the second overall pick with the Jets. who are they going to take a quarterback? I keep saying that the 23rd overall pick is the more intriguing one because I think there's going to be so many options there. I mean, which way are
they're going to trade up? I believe they're going to trade up.
I think they're going to trade up too because there's going to be so much. I agree with Jeff completely. I think J.C. Horn is in my opinion, he is arguably the best corner in this draft class. I do. Who you said the kid from Northwestern is
Newsome, yeah.
Newsome, I think he's great too. He's great off the ball with his hips as well. They say, it gives zone coverage as well a lot better. What are you laughing at?
Jeff says Asante Samuel Jr. is a beast too. Put respect on his name. Yes, absolutely.
Patrick Surtain as well. Says, another one as well.
Well, you wait till the last minute, and then Speedy with his stupid and then laughs. It doesn't say it. He says, rumor from Josh. So that was Carl. Carl said that.
Oh, great. Well, look. The bloodlines run a lot in this draft, and you see it. But you're even hearing reports that the Jets really love the center from Oklahoma too. They're big fans of him as well.
That's Jimmy's boy, Jimmy Jardine. That's his boy. He thinks he's
Jimmy
the best center prospect that he's seen since Nick Mangold.
Yeah, Jimmy loves him. He's a big fan of him. I mean, look, if he's there in the second round, I know if Errol said, if Caleb Farley's there, you're gonna take Farley. I mean, it's a no-brainer.
I want Leatherwood.
The second best corner in this draft class.
Probably. I want Leatherwood. If the Jets are going to draft somebody in the second round, I want Leatherwood. If you can get him if he's still there at number 2, I get Leatherwood. And by the way, Jeff says
right?
The Jets.
How much does he weigh?
The Jets say Jeff says the Jets should go offensive line at 23. Leatherwood would be great, and I agree. Absolutely. I think he's going to fall out of the first. I really do. I think Leatherwood will be there. I think the Jets are drafting 34 or 32nd. Right. I think the Jets could get Leatherwood early in the second round.
Carl
Catering would have a ball. Catering would have a ball with him and Becton. I tell you that much. They'd love that. How much of that supply of food would go in a day?
Oh my God, the biggest offensive line in football. You put Leatherwood on the other side. You move Font. You move Font to guard. You have McGovern, or you can move Feeney over there at center, and then you put McGovern at the other guard position. That's a pretty stacked, big offensive line.
Feeney would be the smallest guy, like
Cam Clark too, by the way. We keep forgetting about Cam Clark though.
Yeah, but they signed Feeney, and Feeney's still young. He'll take that spot now because Feeney's a good player when he's healthy, and he's still young. It's weird to think if that was the line, Feeney would be the smallest guy at 315.
And supposedly Feeney is really, really good. I didn't watch him enough, but they say he's really, really good. So, and they say he's a good center too. So the Jets can actually shift him to center. So it's very interesting. It really is.
Carl says he thinks Leatherwood will play guard. I mean, it's possible, but I still think he's capable of being an NFL tackle because he's got good footwork for his size too.
It's so interesting. This is going to be a fun draft because when you look at the draft this year and when you look at the 4th and 5th and 6th and 7th round, there are players that didn't even play this year that have put themselves in the NFL draft because of COVID-19. You can get the Jets got a 6th round draft pick for that Sam Darnold move. That's the only pick they got this year. They could get a great player in the 6th round.
Yeah.
And look what they got last year with Bryce Hall.
Yeah.
They were lucky.
They were lucky with that. They were absolutely.
Of course they were. He had the injury. Then like you were mentioning a few weeks ago with COVID and everything like that, some guys opted out, and that's going to lower their draft stock. I mean, Gregory Rousseau earlier in the year from Miami, people were saying he was the best defensive player coming into the draft, and now look at him. He's going to drop way down in the first round now.
Mark was saying the same thing, like the beginning of the college football season.
Oh, yeah.
Carl says Josh just choked that cat.
I didn't choke the cat. I moved him off the green screen because I know if I didn't, Errol's going to have a cow that was sitting on the green screen.
No, we don't have room for a cow in this room. Jeff also says if the Jets need a wide receiver,
Errol would say to me, "Get the cat off the screen."
He's there. He's behind you. He's there again.
He's not. I moved him off. I can bring him back after as a guest.
Oh, look, he's a little friend. He's sitting right over there. He's running. He's having a little fun over there.
Pedro, oh my God, the two of them. It's like they never come down here. And of course, when I do a show, this is when they come down.
That's his studio, ladies and gentlemen, with his cats.
Jeff also says if the Jets need a wide receiver, Rondale Moore would be a great addition at 23. Dude is a video game cheat code.
Interesting.
By the way, Carl, don't call Peter or anything, by the way, please. I don't need to deal with that. All right, don't do that or anything. I didn't choke him.
Snug says, Earl, as a DJ, could you do a remix of the beat and include Speedy's laugh in it?
Oh, my God. I would never use that laugh, ladies and gentlemen. It sounds like a crow dying.
Hey, look, Carl, he's fine.
Carl also says, I like Bateman from Minnesota, thoughts Jeff.
Yes.
And then Jeff says, great player, should go to a great situation in round 2, certainly near the top of the rest of the wide receiver crew, that second tier. Yes, I think that seems to be where he's around.
When we come back,
on Kadarius Toney, it feels like that's a name we've also kind of slipped under the radar a little bit. He was lower first round now. Everybody was saying top 15 a few weeks ago. Now he's back.
A lot of players are dropping because of the quarterbacks. That's
exactly it. It's going to throw everything off.
It's throwing everything off. But when we come back, we're going to get off some football. We're going to get into some baseball conversation. Stay on. We might switch back to football because there's a lot more to talk about. And we're going to get into, obviously, a lot of basketball when we come back here on the great Speedy
Sports Loudmouth.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. This is the Sports Loudmouths.
I'm gonna smack Speedy in the face with Josh. Stick him in the head with a big polka dot. Smack him, put him in his head. Oh my God, Jeff is gonna throw him in with thread. I don't know. I'm not a rapper.
What is going on?
I'm trying to rap. Ladies and gentlemen. But DMX, ladies and gentlemen. Whoa. Rest in peace, baby. Baby, I don't know. Remember, you're listening to the Sports Loudmouths only on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, iRadio USA. You can check us out. You can go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Download our app on iOS, WWSRN or Android, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. By the way, Carl is saying some things over here. I don't know what he's saying over here.
Carl says, don't lead off with how good Trout is. He's the best now, but you've exhausted that point. And then Errol has his ode to DMX with no sleeves.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Carl. Thank you. If that bothers you so much. Anyways, what is up with these sleeves? I mean, if you want, I'll wear no shirt if you want to see that. I mean, seriously. I have no idea.
If that's the worst dish you're going to take for the evening, I would take that.
Dude, I'm not. See, I don't get like you do. I don't get upset. I really don't care.
I'm not upset.
You do. You do. You get really upset.
Dude, I don't get upset about anything.
Dude.
Especially, no, really.
Oh,
really.
Get out of
I don't even know.
Yeah, you were upset. You brought it up yesterday, what Jeff said. I mean, you even said it today. You said, I don't know why everybody's attacking me. I mean, I have strong skin or whatever the heck you said, but it does bother you because you brought it up. Wouldn't it bother you? You wouldn't say anything if it didn't bother you.
Dude, I brought it up because it was a conversation.
Stop.
That doesn't mean it bothers me, man.
Stop.
I mean, look, this is what radio is. Whether you like me or you hate me, I could give a damn.
All right, so don't bring it up. Don't worry about it. So don't. You brought it up. You said, when is anybody going to attack me? Because it does bother you, but it's okay if it bothers you. They're trying to get under your skin. That's what they like to do. Anyways, I do want to get into some baseball conversation. And I think over here in New York, everybody keeps asking me, and we heard Kenny Rayner. He called the show. He was smoking his wax or whatever the heck he's doing, or smoking his cat or whatever the hell he's doing over there. I mean, he's crazy. But he said that the Mets are better than the Yankees. Now, I understand that Yankee fans are going crazy right now because the Yankees are 6-7. They're not playing good baseball. They're in a division right now that's really not that good. I'm sorry. If the Red Sox are 9-3 and they're in first place, it's telling you that the Yankees division hasn't really developed in position where everybody thought they were going to be. But the fact that everybody is sitting back and saying that the Mets are better than the Yankees because they've played 8 games or something like that, and the Mets they're going to miss probably the next 5 games because of the weather, COVID, rain. Who knows? It snows. Josh's mom's going to drop an A-bomb on the stadium. Who knows what's going to happen?
My mother's listening.
Well, so
yeah, where's she in the comment section tonight?
I don't know. But
speaking of the comment section, Snug says Josh is going to beat his cats while Earl beats Speedy. It's going to be a hell of a show. He also says, Kenny, please call back. And then Jeff says Josh sucks. Replace him with a painting of Vinny Rubo.
Oh, God.
Now, Jeff, question: would a painting of Vinny Rubo still be a mush?
That's
somebody should call Kenny and see if he's okay.
Kenny's okay, and if anything, the wax killed Kenny. But I think that when you look at baseball and you're trying to compare and contrast what's going on in baseball right now, it's so early, and it really bothers me when when I listen to some of these fans, I listen to sports radio all day long. I listen to all different shows. I listen. I'm not sorry, because there are certain analysts that I really, really do like. I like their takes, and I like the way they attack certain takes. What's so interesting to me, today I was listening to a Chicago broadcast, and I was listening about the Chicago Cubs and comparing what the Chicago White Sox have been in the last 2 years of developing players and the fall of the Chicago Cubs in the last couple of years, obviously with Theo Epstein leaving and all the disgraceful things that's come out from that organization, including the ex-GM of the New York Mets, the stuff that was happening over there. What is so interesting to me right now is where the White Sox fans, they were completely gone. Nobody knew who the White Sox were. What was it, 2, 3, 4 years ago? Now, all of a sudden, the White Sox have a good franchise. Tony La Russa's taken over the team. Tony La Russa comes out of retirement, and the White Sox fans appear, and all of a sudden, they're the new sheriffs in town. They're going to be the next World Series champions. They're the best young team in baseball. Yeah, it's so funny how one team completely disintegrates or is not the same team that anybody thought that they were when they had the top GM or the top players that they had. And now all of a sudden we're talking about a Chicago White Sox team that hasn't won anything. They haven't won anything. They went to the playoffs for the first time last year and got eliminated in the first game that they played. I mean,
for the first time since 2008. So.
To me, it's appalling. If you're a sports fan and you listen to some of these analysts and some of these, and I'm not going to mention the show because I'm not throwing anybody under the bus. I would never do that. But I was listening to Chicago show, and it's so disturbing how when you watch it, and these guys are really good. They're really good broadcasters. They're really good analysts. And then they bring up something about the Chicago White Sox and compare and contrast the fall of the Chicago Cubs to Chicago White Sox. First of all, the Chicago Cubs won a championship for the first time in 100 years, a couple of years ago. Let that rest for a little bit, okay? Let it just put some gravy on whatever, or put some barbecue sauce on your steak or something and make it taste good, okay? The White Sox haven't won anything. They haven't done anything. Their pitcher yesterday throws a no-hitter, and oh my God, they're going to win the World Series this year. It's appalling. It's crazy. And then you listen to New York sports like Kenny Rayner saying, the Mets are better than the Yankees. How do you figure? Because that one team played one team played 14 games and the other team played 8, and the Mets have a better record. The Mets right now are playing. They have better pitching staff right now. The Yankees haven't really figured things out. I could say right now the Red Sox are the best team in baseball. Are you going to believe that?
Carl says Sox fans, there aren't any. Snug says there haven't been any White Sox fans since 2005, and Carl says there weren't any in 2005 either. Jeff says barbecue sauce on a steak. You're a heathen.
I actually like Jeff. I'm a big barbecue sauce fan, so
you cannot put that on a steak.
Oh, I love it.
You don't put anything on a steak.
I disagree.
Anything on a steak.
I disagree. I've had plenty of good steaks. I've been to some of the top steak places here in Long Island and in New York. I bought a steak a couple of years. What was it? A year and a half ago? I think steak was $150. So
you ever been to Bryan and Cooper?
I've been everywhere. I've been Morton's. You ever been to Morton's?
I've been to Morton's.
Okay, the steak is delicious over there. I think.
Yes, I've never put any sauce on it.
Well, that's you. But again, you do a lot of things. You do a lot of things that are outlandish.
Snug says, "I think he meant ketchup on the steak."
I don't like ketchup. No.
I don't think any of us are Patrick Mahomes. Don't worry.
I would never use ketchup on a steak. Anybody that knows me, I would never use ketchup.
You don't use ketchup on a steak. You definitely don't use it on a hot dog. That's a sin.
I don't like hot dogs, so I wouldn't eat it. But I know, I don't. I'm not a hot dog fan. I'm not a hot dog fan. If I'm gonna eat, I'm a hamburger fan. And Speedy, I told you that before. What are you saying? Man, you like sausages. You like big, dark sausages.
And I like hot dogs. I like hot
dogs. Now, could you tell the fans why you like dark sausages?
No, I am going to be a producer and read the comments.
No, but you're but you told me you tell the fans.
I am reading the comments.
Oh God, he thinks the white sausages are too dry and the dark sausages.
I am reading the comments now. Earl says go to Luger's and ask for A1 sauce. Carl says you put sauce on a $150 steak with an exclamation point. And Jeff says Morton's is the Speedy Petey of steakhouses, overrated and not worth what you pay.
Probably.
Scott and Bo, for your show tomorrow with all your food takes, you might have some guests that might want to chime in on this steak.
Why don't we reach out?
You go to Peter Luger's or you go to Brian and Cooper.
And Morton's. What are you talking about? Morton's
You
too.
don't want 'em. Morton, stop it.
Morton,
It's a fake
Morton,
steakhouse.
fake steakhouse. They have better.
It's all
They
over
have
the place.
first of all, they have better food than Peter Luger's. Okay, I've been to Peter
Are
Luger's.
you crazy?
Oh, absolutely.
You're gonna say it's better than Uncle Jack's too?
I've never had Uncle Jack's, but I've had
Oh,
Peter
well,
Luger's
then you-
quite a few times, and I take
Brian
Morton's.
and Cooper.
I take
Don't
Morton's.
better than
Morton's
them.
is better. Morton's is definitely better. I'm crazy. Okay, how many times have you had Peter Luger's?
I've had Peter Luger's plenty of times.
How many times?
Probably in my time, probably about 9 or 10 times.
Okay, I've been there 9 or 10 times too, and I've been to Morton's quite a few times too. I'm
They have
going
very
with
good
Morton's.
sliders.
They have
Morton.
very good
Their
everything.
hamburger sliders are delicious.
You know what you need? You need a slider in. You need a slider in your mouth from Speedy. How's that sound?
That sounds.
I don't have a slider in my mouth.
Now tell everybody.
What's
Tell
a slider in the
Tell the fans why you like dark sausages over white sausages.
Nope, 4 more comments I have to read first. Earl likes Fruity Pebbles and mint
Can we
chocolate
just
chip
go
ice
into
cream.
the show and stop this?
You want me to read comments? I'm reading comments.
But I'm asking you a question and you're reading comments. I can read too, you know.
All right. Carl asks, does Edelman prepare a steak on his channel? I guess that would be a Jeff question. Speaking of Jeff, he says Errol thinks Applebee's is a steakhouse. What does he know? And Snug
Who said that? Who said that? I think
Jeff
Applebee's.
says
No, I know I don't. I actually don't like Applebee's. I go to Applebee's because my friend likes Applebee's. I actually would rather Fridays over Applebee's. I'm not a big yeah. No, I don't like Chili's.
Snug says Morton of Chicago in Long Island. Yeah, better than Luger's. Oh, finally.
This
Snug,
was fun,
Snug and Earl agree on something finally. And then Errol thinks Miller's Ale House is the center of the fine dining universe.
I guess so. But could you explain now? Could you do this quick so we can
Fine. I think
Fine.
I like spicier ones with better flavor. It has a better flavor. The darker ones, the spicy sausages over the lighter Italian ones.
So you don't like the white ones. You rather
Not
the
as
dark
much,
sausages.
no.
You
He likes
like
the spicy. He likes the hot ones over the sweet ones.
Yes, he likes
Yes,
the dark,
right.
thick sausages. Yes, that's what he
You
likes.
gotta be premios though, Speedy. They gotta be premios.
Oh God, please! Are we really serious with this premium crap?
I'm not fussy on brand names.
But
I'm not gonna argue that.
to me, you think of Chicago sports, and Chicago sports has been horrendous. And I'm not saying this to take a shot at anybody, Carl. And I know this is where we're going because I know he's from Chicago. Chicago sports has been garbage. Besides the Chicago Cubs winning a championship. The last time they won a championship was the Chicago Blackhawks, and that was like 7, 8, 9 years ago. Okay, it's been a long time for Chicago sports, and I know what you're going to say. So same with New York. I agree with you. I'm not throwing New York sports under the bus because they're probably the worst. But again,
No, I think Detroit's the worst.
well, whatever. The fact is that when you talk about Chicago sports and you talk about where Chicago sports is moving, they're not moving in the right direction. They're really not. And the White Sox finally have figured things out because they've lost 10, 12 years in a row. They're trying to copycat the Red Sox or some of the Houston Astros. Maybe they don't cheat like those two teams, but you know, to me, it's appalling. It really is. And I go back into baseball, and you look at where baseball is right now. With the COVID-19 and with everything that's going on with baseball, I just think baseball, we thought it was at a tie last year with everything going on. Even with COVID, I was really excited for the playoffs. Now, honestly, I can't sit and watch a baseball game right now. I really can't. I watched the Yankees. I watched 2 games so far of the Yankees this year, and there's nothing exciting to watch in the game. There's no fans in the audience. I don't want to hear it because there's 2,000 people out there. It's not loud. There's no home field advantage. There's nothing fun about it, Josh. Really, I know you're a baseball fan, but it's nothing fun to watch anymore. It really
I
isn't.
understand where you're coming from. It's definitely a different perspective because you're so used to seeing the game the way it was. But it's not even just having the fans in the stands. It's the way the rules are changing. It's to putting the runner at second in extra innings. It's the 3-batter rule for relievers. It's kind of taken the coaching almost out of the game because now you don't make those shrewd bullpen moves or anything of that sort now. And it's just become a different perspective where they're trying to make the game faster, which it's not even doing that. Actually, if you did the average time,
I love corn, by the way.
The average time of the game is longer now. It's longer now with all this garbage. And now they have 7-inning games, which, by the way, I'm going to throw this out there really quick. Speedy will laugh at this. The New York Mets are the kings of 7-inning games.
Yeah, pretty much. An accurate depiction of the Mets bullpen, everybody.
Would win. But
Does anything stand out to you right now in the baseball season besides the Atlanta Braves not playing well? They're 4-7 or 4-8, and then the Yankees are 6-7. Oh my God! All the Yankee fans want to jump off a bridge because the Yankees can't win. Give me a break.
It's just it's interesting because, like I said, it's only the first 2 weeks of the season, and again, you even said it. We don't know who's better than Mets or the Yankees, and quite honestly, I don't care. I worry about my team. The Yankees aren't even in the same league as the Mets are, so I don't even care who's better than who. I'll care if they meet in the World Series. That's when I'll care. And meanwhile, the Mets aren't even going to play till probably Sunday now because they're going to get snowed out tomorrow, and then they're going to get rained down on Saturday. So that's I believe there are 8 games they played on their schedule that were supposed to be, I believe, 15 games they're supposed to play. They've missed, what is that? 15 minus, what is it? 15 minus 8 is what?
7. They missed 7 games.
They missed 7 games. That's insane. And by the way, this is what bothers me. And I told you this earlier, Errol, and you agreed with me before the show. Whoever agreed to let an East Coast team go to Colorado in April, you are an absolute idiot. You are.
Well, somebody has to do it, though. The Rockies not going to play.
Rob Manfred.
I mean, what?
It should be an indoor stadium. It should.
Meanwhile, they asked on Twitter the other day, a Met fan asked Cohen if he would be willing to buy a retractable roof for Citi Field. He said $350 million. Should I do it? I mean, I don't even know what put past him to do that. But it's like, who decides to and I agree 200%. It should absolutely. Minnesota. Who else?
LeBron, obviously Colorado.
Detroit and Cleveland have had snow in April.
And New York. And New York.
The Midwest teams need to have a dome. Done. End of discussion, period. Because the problem is this. Even when it gets to October baseball, late October, early November, if you get to the World Series and say the Cardinals are in the World Series and it's 31 degrees in the World Series, who wants to sit there? You're watching a baseball game, which can last up to 3.5, 4 hours with the World Series in 31-degree weather. I mean, that's just it just mind boggles to me how stupid Rob Manfred has made this game. It's made it so pathetic.
He should be gone. He is the worst commissioner in professional sports.
When
he is the worst.
The lightning bolt came last year behind him on Sunday Night Baseball when they interviewed him, that was a sign from God to say this guy is evil. Get him the hell out. Okay?
Yeah.
That's the point. But you don't send an East Coast team to Colorado the third week of April. It makes no sense.
Is there anything that really surprises you right now when you look at professional sports and you look at where baseball is going, you see where football is going? Say whatever you want about Roger Goodell, and I can't stand Roger Goodell. I can't stand Rob Manfred. To say that now, out of all these commissioners, I would take Gary Bettman. I would take Gary Bettman first over every single commissioner, even Adam Silver. Adam Silver he was my number one guy, and he's fallen. He's fallen because of what has happened over the last year and a half. He has hurt the game of basketball. Not when it comes to money, not because of CBA and advertisements and what he's done. Adam Silver is a genius. It's the way he's been handling some of the stuff that's going on in the league. That, I would say. But Gary Bettman has been the best commissioner in sports. They boo the hell out of him when it comes to the NHL.
He's also had 3 strikes under his belt. And you saying that he's the best commissioner speaks on how all these commissioners in sports are.
He is. And the commissioners have been absolutely horrendous. But again, and I'm not going to go back into this and argue because there's really nothing to talk about baseball besides that. And we talked about it yesterday. Who are the best, in your thoughts right now in professional sport, who's the best players in their respectable top 10 respectable sports? And I'll go to this. When you look at the game of, you look at game of football, you look at game of basketball, baseball, hockey. When you look at the best players in their sports, who's the best player in their sport who stands out? Now, you talk about Mike Trout. He's by far the best baseball player in baseball. Okay, is he the most popular one? He isn't. No. He's not even the face of baseball. No. When you talk about hockey, who's the biggest player right now in hockey? Connor McDavid, right? Mm-hmm. Connor McDavid. Is he the best player in hockey right now? No. Is he the best player in hockey? Yes or no? Because the answer is no, he's not. He doesn't have the best numbers. He's not the best hockey player in the NHL. Okay? So there. Then we go to basketball. Who's the biggest face right now in basketball? LeBron James. Who's the best player in basketball? LeBron James. So, and then we go to football. Who's the most popular player right now in football?
Probably Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes. Who's the best player in football?
I think at any position, I would say Aaron Donald.
Who's the best player in professional football? It doesn't matter.
Aaron Donald.
Aaron Donald. Okay. So there's only one player in their respectable sports that is the most popular player and the best player in a league, and that's basketball. Because basketball is, to me, not the team sport. It's not a team sport. It's a single games. It's a single team play. If you have the best player on your team, you have the best chance of going to the finals no matter what. And that is a fact. There's no argument to that. And again, I know Snug says Tom Brady. And Tom Brady, he's not he might be still the face of football. I really.
He's still a popular name.
No, he's the face of football. He's the face of the NFL. He's the face of the NFL. He absolutely is the face of NFL. How could you say that he's not?
Well, no, he's a popular name.
No. Who is the face of the NFL? If you were to say,
the last
10
years,
Speedy,
yeah.
No, Speedy. If you walk over there, you go to Germany, okay? You walk off the plane, and you're asking somebody, do you know any football players? If you ask 1 through 10, who do you think they're going to mention first?
Depends on the age.
Who are they going to mention first?
Depends on the age.
Oh, really? So you're going to tell me right now?
A young kid is not going to like Tom Brady as much as a young flashy player. Unless
Tom Brady's name is in the tabloids. His wife is a famous model. What are you talking about? What are you drinking? Are you smoking the wax that what's his name again was smoking?
I would never smoke anything that Kenny recommends.
Come on,
my wife doesn't even watch football, and always the first name she always brings up in football is Tom Brady.
Tom Brady, there's no question.
She doesn't even know who Patrick Mahomes is.
If you go to Germany right now and you talk to 10 people, it doesn't matter what age they are, and you say, do you know American football? Yeah. The first thing they're going to say is Tom Brady. The first thing they say is Tom Brady. Not Aaron Donald or Patrick Mahomes.
No, definitely not Aaron Donald. Come
on, what are you smoking? Really, what are you out of here? If you walk off a plane right now, you go to Australia. Okay, and these guys, people know how to speak English, and they ask you who is the best hockey player right now in the NHL. Who do you think they're going to say?
They're going to say Connor McDavid.
No, they're not, because they're not even going to know anything about hockey over there. So no, they wouldn't. They wouldn't, and if anybody did, I guarantee you, Sidney Crosby will be. Sidney Crosby would be the one. Okay. Sidney Crosby would be the one, or Alexander Ovechkin. Okay.
Yeah, like I said, it depends on the age of the fan, though, too, because I think that
I don't think it has anything
to do with it. Because again, there is a.
That's getting too analytical, Speedy.
No, I think that's out of. I think you're out of your mind. 1 out of 10, I'm telling you. Now, if you walk in any city right now, in any place in the country, and you tell me the first athlete's name that pops in your head, who would it be?
The first athlete
pop in your name right now. Boom. Who's the first? LeBron James. LeBron James.
Easily.
And why? Why LeBron James?
Because he's a popular brand on his own and
he's a worldwide brand.
Because I just told you why. Because in any sport, including basketball, basketball is the only sport where stars are it. Okay, if you're the best player in the league, you're the best player. You're the biggest player when it comes to social media. You're the biggest player in everything. LeBron James, that's why they call him the king. So to me, going back to what I'm saying, when you're trying to compare and contrast the players and the talent or whoever they are when it comes to the athlete, I would say LeBron James. It doesn't matter where you go, will be more known because the NBA has controlled the market. They've controlled the player and the superstar player because of what they do and how they promote it. And I think it's ruined the game of sports. I think basketball has ruined sports. And that's why a lot of people, if you go right now and you talk to a lot of people that watch sports, a lot of people have turned away from basketball.
Yeah.
A lot of people have turned away from basketball because of players like LeBron James.
Carl says Speedy goes to Germany for the dark sausage, and Snug says, please send Speedy to Germany to interview Germans about the NFL. It will be amazing. I don't know to speak German, Snug. I wish. Snug says Conor McGregor, and Jeff says starting a petition to fire Speedy.
Honestly, am I wrong? Do I think did LeBron James in the game of basketball in the last 7-8 years, has it been ruined because of the way the NBA promotes their players?
Well, of course, he started the whole issue.
That's not him. It's the league. The league loves this, man.
I know they do. Well, they like all the super teams, but we've always talked about this. You go back into the days, Charles Barkley and Michael Jordan were best friends. They didn't ever wanted to play with each other. Right. That was how it was. It was all about level of competition.
Reggie Miller just said the same thing. He would never team up with Jordan. I said Reggie Miller said the same thing recently. Like, he loved him as a friend, but never would team up with him or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. It ruined the whole sport. Now everybody wants to be my friend's gonna go here. Okay, I'm gonna follow him suit. We're gonna go to the Clippers together. We're gonna go to the Nets together. Dude, every person and their mother were joining the Brooklyn Nets this season. It was a joke.
I
just retired.
I just think when you look at professional sports and the way sports is moving, and it's all about money, which we know, and you got to give the players credit, because if they can find a way to make it, they make it. They should make it. But I look at the leagues and how the leagues has transitioned and how it's ruined the game. I will tell you, and basketball growing up was my favorite sport, and it still kind of is. I was a hockey player.
Your most favorite team out of all of them, you've said,
was the Knicks. It was the Knicks. And now when I look at players, and now look what has happened to the NBA, what has happened to professional sports? It's because of the NBA. Now with the fantasy sports, it's really transitioned to be the fan has become a player's fan, not a team's fan. It's ruined the game. I think it has a lot to do with basketball. I really do believe that. Basketball has ruined, the way these teams are, they're rooted for. Now you have people that live in Chicago that are fans with, I don't know, the Cleveland Cavaliers because of LeBron James, or the Chicago Bull fans because they were Michael Jordan fans in the 80s and the 90s are now, I don't know, Laker fans because LeBron James is over the Lakers.
The thing that annoys me the most, I'm going to tell you this right now, the thing that annoys me the most is I say, what's your favorite team? And they always say, I'm a LeBron James fan. So wherever LeBron James goes, that's who I like. And they go, who do you like? And I say, I'm a Knicks fan. And they laugh at me. I go, you guys have no idea what the Knicks were in the 90s. Okay?
They
you
never
don't
won,
even know.
but
you have no idea.
They were good.
What team do you like? I'm a LeBron James fan. Oh, come on.
It's also funny to think the Beef calls. He says he was a Bulls fan because of Jordan, and then we ask him name 3 players on the current team. I think he can only name 1 if I remember.
He can name 1.
Yeah,
it's not. But he doesn't really watch basketball anymore.
Right,
and
that's my point.
He tells you. And by the way, Jeff says, "What would you know, Errol, about professional sports? New York doesn't have any." And I said that. I am. Besides the Yankees, the New York teams stink. And I'll be the first person to say that. I'm not going to throw New York sports under the bus. Everybody knows it. I've said it. I'm here to support what New York sports is, but I don't know. Even some of our shows, we get off the New York topic because there really isn't anything to talk about. But, I mean, right now, there is some excitement right now when it comes to basketball. You have the Knicks and the Nets making the playoffs. I don't know if they're going to win anything, but the Knicks and Nets are making the playoffs. The Yankees and the Mets could make the playoffs this year. And who knows? Maybe the Jets are a good team. We know the Giants aren't going to be this year. So
Islanders.
And the Islanders. The Islanders are one of the top 4 or 5 teams in the NHL that can win a Stanley Cup this year. You can't say anything bad about New York sports now. But again, when I look at Boston sports, they're ahead of us. But that's not even the point. That's not even my argument right now. My argument is when you look at professional sports and you look at the game that really is ruined being a fan of a team or being a fan of the respectable organization, I would say basketball has affected it. I think it's affected everything. I really do. And I'm not taking shots at the NBA. I'm just telling you the truth on what I've seen. And by the way, what is Carl saying?
Carl says, no, I can name the players, but you asked me to name good players at the time. No, we weren't referring to you, Carl. We're referring to the Beef.
We're talking about the Beef.
Jeff says the best team in New York is the Bills. Yeah, it probably is right now.
Islanders are the best team in New York.
Islanders just got Hulk smashed by the Bruins tonight.
That's fine. And listen, you're not going to win all the games. Jeff, you know that. The Islanders are not going to win every single game. The Islanders are a good team. You know where the Islanders are going. They're going to be in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and we'll see what happens when it comes to the big game. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the way professional sports has transitioned. It has affected even me as a fan and a guy who loves watching sports. There are games that I just turn my head. Do I want to watch LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Andre Drummond in the first round just knock off whoever they play, just completely dismantle? The answer is I'm not going to watch it. I don't care if it's LeBron James or Anthony Davis. You think I want who do they play right now in the first round? If they
Memphis.
Memphis. You think I want to see them murder Memphis? Come on, guys. I don't want to see LeBron James murder Memphis. I'm probably not going to watch a Western Conference game until the Western Conference Championship.
Right.
Because that's the way basketball is.
That's the biggest problem with the NBA playoff structure, too. 8 teams is already too much as it is. I mean, the NFL just expanded to 7, and they have a lot more parity than the NBA does.
Just terrible.
NHL, it works because the lower seeds do well. In 2010, look at 2010, the 7 versus 8 seed in the Eastern Conference Finals with the Flyers and the Canadiens that year. I mean, it works for them. The NBA, outside of the Grizzlies winning over the Spurs in 2010 and the We Believe Warriors in 2007, 8 seeds are never even close.
And speaking of the NBA, LaMarcus Aldridge announces his retirement today. It's so interesting because the Nets, who really needed LaMarcus Aldridge, because going into the playoffs, LaMarcus Aldridge was that big body, the rebounder that they needed, and a guy that's going to give you points on and off the bench, a guy that's been very successful in the playoffs. This is a big loss, Josh, a huge loss, losing LaMarcus Aldridge. As a matter of fact, it's such a big loss that this could eliminate the Nets in the second round. I don't know if the Nets are going to get out of the second round. You're losing a guy of LaMarcus Aldridge's standard. Blake Griffin is not a good rebounder, okay? He's a washed-up power forward that can give you maybe 14, 15 points off the bench. It's not enough. And I don't think all the scoring in the world is not going to be good enough against a 76er team that's playing a half-court game that can play defense and can play offense just as well as you can. So, Josh, what is your thoughts of the LaMarcus Aldridge announcement?
Well, I think it was devastating. I mean, when I heard the news about it, it was amazing because of how abrupt it happened. Like, it just happened like a snap of a finger, right? It was like everybody was all howling, hooting about the Brooklyn Nets. They got all this depth. You know, we were saying it last week on the Sports Live House, how much depth they have now. You know, what you could do is you could have Aldridge start at the, you know, you could have Aldridge possibly start maybe at the 4, the 5. You could go that route. You can move Joe Harris to the bench and have him come off as the 6th man. And now it's like you take Aldridge out. Now you have DeAndre Jordan, who's back probably in the starting lineup, which is a bueno situation, of course, for the Brooklyn Nets. That's for sure, because he's a has-been of what he was, which was, what was he good, 6 or 7 years ago? This is a killer for the Brooklyn Nets. They were leaning on him to do a lot for this team. And with him being gone now, that's so much size. And that's not even just that, the little things. It's also the leadership that he brings, the veteran leadership that he brings to this team, too, that is now going to be missed. I mean, this was a guy that was, you know, he was he was an all-star with the Portland Trailblazers, and he was groomed as a really good player under Greg Popovich. And he came to Brooklyn. I thought he was going to go to Miami. I was shocked that he picked Brooklyn, but then again, everybody picks Brooklyn at this point. It doesn't even matter. Whether you're a has-been or you're good, you go to Brooklyn. This is a killer for the Brooklyn Nets. I think this is going to hinder them with their size problem, their rebounding issue, their interior defense. And he brought offense to this game as well. I mean, look, I don't know how many points per game he was averaging this year. It can't really be as
14?
much as
I think it was 15,
Yeah, it was
like
14.8
or
something.
14 points, but that's still something that they're going to miss. But like I said, the bigger thing with him is you're missing the defense, you're missing the size, the rebounding.
That's what they need. They don't have it.
That's what I'm saying. They don't have it.
How are they going to beat the Lakers? If they get to the finals, how are they going to beat the Lakers?
They can't. They're not going to be able to beat the Lakers on the inside because the problem is Andre Drummond is a rebounding machine. He's the best rebounding center, probably one of the best in the NBA.
Anthony Davis is the second best offensive rebounder in the league. They got 2 of the best offensive rebounders.
I know, and that's going to be the problem with them. And they're going to also – the thing about the Lakers is they're going to go in fresh into the playoffs. That's the thing. LeBron and AD are all going to be healthy, fresh, ready to go. That's going to be the difference, too. They won't have the mileage that Durant – but then again, Kyrie never even plays. I don't even know what goes – well, I mean, it's like he's gone. He's there for a week, and then he's gone for 2 weeks.
Special. Kyrie's been special this year. And matter of fact, if I were to pick an MVP right now besides the Joker, I'm taking Kyrie Irving. I think Kyrie Irving has been sensational this year.
He has been, but the problem is, it's like, so now he missed another game because of the issue that I think that Dennis Schroeder said. Dennis Schroeder said I'm not going to say it. He said the N-word to Kyrie Irving. Irving took it personally, as anybody would and as anybody should. And I believe he had to miss a game for that. And, you know, that's the thing is I don't know what Kyrie Irving is such an interesting player. He has such a thought process that I've never seen from a lot of athletes where he just has so much that goes on. I'm not even joking about the earth is flat thing. We've made that joke so many times already.
It still never gets old.
You know, it's old, but you know what? Arrow brings up, it's true though. It's like, I mean, the kid went to Duke, was you know,
smart kid.
Coach K.
Smart kid.
He is a very smart kid. He's a brilliant kid. That's why he's one of the NBA player reps for the Player Association. But it's a matter of what goes into his thought process when these type of things happen. And again, we don't know what James Harden is. What is he in the playoffs?
Josh,
we don't know.
Listen to these. Look at these numbers, okay? His career he averages 22.8 points a game. This year, he's averaging 27.9. 4 rebounds, almost 5 rebounds a game, 6.1 assists a game. His field goal percentage, 51.6, which is one of the best in the league. And this is a guy that's a shooter. Field goal, 3-point percentage, almost 40%. Free throws, 91, which is the best in the league, but right behind Steph Curry. I mean, look at these numbers. These numbers are MVP numbers.
But he just doesn't play every game. That's the only problem.
I'm not saying he's the MVP, Carl.
100%.
No, he's definitely a candidate, though.
Joker is the MVP.
I agree with you 100%. I think Jokic is definitely the MVP. You know, and that's going to be interesting too. The thing we talked about it yesterday with Jamal Murray. How is that going to affect Denver? And this is going to be, I think, more of a hinder with, of course, Denver. But this could also put more weight on Jokic being the MVP because he's losing one of their top players. I think that's going to give him more of a reason to be the MVP. The thing of it is with look, LeBron James had really crazy good years even in Miami, but they never gave him – I don't believe they ever gave him the MVP, right, because he was with the team that he was on.
I think he got it once. I think one MVP.
Did he get it once? I mean, it's a matter
LeBron?
of –
Yeah, I thought he got once with Miami. Yeah.
He's won a couple MVPs. He's won 3 or 4.
No, with Miami. I think he only won one, though. I think we won one with –
I didn't know if they gave him one in Miami.
I think he did. I think the year before Durant won, he was MVP in 2013.
Okay. I mean, look,
by the way, Carl says Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine is scoring 0.3 less than Kyrie Irving. He's got more rebounds but less assists. Again, Kyrie Irving has better numbers than Zach LaVine. He is actually Zach LaVine is scoring 50.6 field goal percentage to Kyrie's 51.7 or something like that.
Yeah. But do you take the games into account though? Do you take because Kyrie's missed a lot of games?
Yeah, no, I don't because I still think Kyrie still would have those numbers.
By the way, there's just a couple old comments. Jeff said, LaMarcus Aldridge isn't the retirement we should be talking about. We should be talking about Josh's. And then Carl says, Nets obviously better, but does Zach LaVine have better numbers, like you were saying? Jeff says, absolutely. Celtics absolutely stuffing the Lakers in a body bag right now. Taco Fall from MVP.
Listen,
man.
Jeff talking about retirement. I wish I could right now. I tell you that much.
Why? Where are you retiring to? Where are you going? You're going to have your head up your ass or something? Maybe up Speedy's ass. He's not wearing any underwear.
I am wearing underwear.
Are you wearing underwear?
Yes,
what kind of underwear are you wearing today?
We didn't even bring it up. Speedy brought that up on his own.
Yeah, you did.
Yes,
he really did.
Yes, just to end it now. All these.
What type of
underwear?
all
these thoughts that you're going to have later in the show. I'll just end.
No,
now.
Speedy, that's the first mistake you made because it wasn't even going to be brought up tonight.
No.
Now that you brought it up,
do you know this guy? Do you know this guy? It would have came up.
No. I haven't known Arrow as long as you have, but I know his ways and his tricks. If you bring something up to him, he's going to talk about it now. So you made a mistake, pal.
You did. You threw yourself under the bus.
Carl says, retire in mom's basement. And Jeff says, Josh is going to retire to lovely Central.
Here's a question. Here's a question for you guys. And this is a good This is a good argument. This is a good argument. Now, and I'll ask all the fans, who is the most overrated player in professional sports today? Now, if you could pick any player in professional sports today, I want to know. And first, you, Josh, and your arguments to it, because I've got a couple, but I have one in particular I think is the most overrated player in sports, and I want to know why you think he's the most overrated player in sports.
I got it.
Okay, who do you got?
Steph Curry.
Okay,
Steph Curry.
Why?
Steph Curry, because everybody proclaims him to be one of the top 10 players in the league, and every time we always bring up Curry every single time. Everybody says, "Oh, he is the Golden State Warriors. He is the team. That's what he was." Meanwhile, ever since Durant left and Klay Thompson have gotten hurt, Steph Curry has basically done absolutely nothing. The team was the number 1 pick in the draft. What was it? Number 2 last year. They're crap. And what are you laughing at? Because I know it was probably Jeff.
No. Jeff says, name a Knick, and you have your answer.
I mean, are the Knicks even worthy for, the overrated? Their players aren't even rated.
I'm talking about overrated.
Steph Curry. Everybody makes him out to be he's the best player in the NBA. He's advancing
most
the game.
Popular player.
He is advancing the game because of his 3-point shooting, but he just chucks up shots.
He's ruined the game. He's ruined the game. The
I didn't say he made the game better. I said he's advancing the game. That doesn't mean he's making it
He's
better.
changed the game though, with everyone has to shoot
He changed
now.
the game. I didn't say he made it better, but look, he's so. I mean, look, like I said, I teach phys ed, and when I look at it like this, all my students, they love Steph Curry. They love him. Oh, he's great. Kids come in with Curry jerseys all the time, and it annoys the crap out of me.
Do they do the Curry shake? Did they do the Curry shake?
What'd you say?
Did they do the Curry shake? Did they take out their?
Oh my God! One of my fifth graders tries to, and I go, please.
Do they take their mouthpieces off and throw it at the referees?
He does this thing. He does this thing. He does this freaking garbage, and it drives me nuts. And it's like, the funny thing of all of it is you look at him. What about when LeBron James was by himself in Cleveland and he went to the NBA Finals with a crap team? What is Steph Curry doing on a team when he's by himself?
And that team's still better that team's still better than LeBron in Cleveland.
Much
too.
talented.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
that team right now should be an easy playoff team, not even an argument. They had the number 2 pick in all of the draft in Wiseman, which everybody says was the best player in last year's draft.
Who is now out for the year, by the way.
Out for the year. But they had him for most of the year, and a guy couldn't stay healthy. He was garbage. Quickly, I would have taken Quickly over him any day, the way Quickly has played. And you look at the team. You have Draymond Green still there. You have Wiggins still there. That team is
another
talented.
one I find overrated.
Who?
Draymond.
No, I don't think so.
I hate Draymond.
He is what he is.
But Draymond, here's the thing, Josh, because he does a lot. He's well rounded for a big man too, which you need in today's game. Though I know he has the attitude issue and the kicking guys in the nuts and all that, but as a
my
basketball
favorite part of his game,
as a basketball skill set, the only thing he really doesn't do well is perimeter shooting. But that's it. Carl says, referring to Steph Curry, didn't he just put up 42 in 3/4 last night?
What does that mean?
Great. Where's the team at? The team sucks. He doesn't make anybody around him better.
He doesn't.
And he also says, calm down, Josh. And then Snug says, that explains a lot. He's hit on the head with a basketball one too many.
First of all,
calm down, Josh. I heard Mark and Jeff screaming point to the moron and doo-doo.
Jeff says Marcus Smart should not be allowed to have arms to shoot a basketball. Yes, neither should Joakim Noah when he was on the Knicks.
Well, Tristan Thompson got an airball at the free throw line. So
Carl says Errol will say Jalen Ramsey. Yeah, probably.
No, you're wrong. But I agree with. I would agree with you in some ways that Steph Curry is a very overrated player. I think he's highly overrated because of who he is, the position that he plays, and being that he's such small in stature. And if you read the stories about Steph Curry, that he had to change his whole shooting rotation in his high school career, and he was shooting 500-600 shots a day, and that's why everybody's trying to be like Steph Curry. I think Steph Curry is so highly overrated, not because of his game, just because of who he is as a person.
Can I just say one more really
yes.
quick, just an honorable one?
Yeah.
Porzingis. Kristaps Porzingis.
Really? Why is that?
I first off, when
I
you
don't
look
think
at
he's
how
that
he
good.
is, first off, he's always hurt.
I don't think he's that good.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was surprised you didn't bring him up.
No, he's always hurt. He's always injured. He's somebody that when I look at it, he's not trustworthy. Listen, he goes through stretches where he has great games, and he goes through stretches where he has miserable games.
Right.
I mean, there's the reason why Dallas struggled earlier in the year. He wasn't playing well, and he was hurt.
He wasn't healthy. He never is.
But even though he wasn't, and even when he was on like the Knicks, the problem was because he was on the New York Knicks and he was playing well because he was in New York, that overrated his stature to being a superstar. That's what they always do, right? If a Knick thrives, dude, they did it with Jeremy Lin. They did the same thing. Lin Sanity was 10 games. He's the best. He's great. Plays point guard. Then they go into the playoffs, and Jeremy Lin sucked against the Miami Heat. And I mean, it was a joke. The whole thing. Overrate players. They always do, especially in New York. They always overrate players.
Speaking of Dallas, Jeff wins this segment. Most overrated. The obvious answer is Zeke Elliott.
That's interesting. That is interesting.
He's in there though, Zeke Elliott.
I don't think he's overrated.
Get the beef on.
I don't.
want to hear the beef on.
First of all, he would probably see somebody from the Giants or somebody, or say something stupid. But I will say this: Zeke Elliott's not overrated because I don't think Ezekiel Elliott is a top 5 running back in the league. I don't think anybody thinks that except the beef. So that's just my opinion. But Speedy, who's your most overrated player right now in professional sports?
I'm going to say, just sticking with the NBA, I'm going to say James Harden. I think James Harden's been hyped.
Not with the NBA, any sports.
I know. I would say James Harden. I would say James Harden because a lot of people think he's a top 3 or top 5 player where while he does shoot very well and, again, passes very well, Errol and I say it all the time, he gets all these phantom foul calls that nobody understands. He gets away with traveling all the time, and terrible on defense, terrible in the playoffs, and is not as well-rounded as people think, and is inefficient. And we've seen it with, he's had to be carried by a lot of different teams in order to go there. He made one conference final, I think 2015, where he was the best player by far when they came back on the Clippers, but that was really it when it comes to playoff trajectory. That's really it. He's really been, Russell Westbrook played better with him. Chris Paul obviously did, and now with the Nets, obviously he's basically trading his way to a championship, or he's trying to at that point. So I would say James Harden.
Did you read what Carl wrote, Mr. Producer?
Carl says, no one talks about KP, Josh. Not overrated if nobody talks about you. And then Jeff says, not top 5. He's better than Barry.
People talk about Porzingis all the time.
Here's my most overrated player in sports, and I'm going to say it, and I think people are probably going to think I'm out of my mind, but I'm going to explain why I think he's very overrated. Patrick Mahomes.
Ooh.
Okay, and and there's a reason behind this. Patrick Mahomes came to a team that was already built. It was an already built team, a team that was winning. They just needed one more player, a player that can make some of these throws that Alex Smith couldn't make. And I will say this, Patrick Mahomes, that doesn't mean that Patrick Mahomes isn't a great player. So don't say that I don't think he's not a top player, but I think he's so overrated for what he is and what he does. If you put Deshaun Watson on that team, do they win that Super Bowl a couple of years ago? Answer the question,
probably,
yes or no?
They do. Tough to tell with postseason.
They do. They win the championship with Deshaun Watson. If Russell Wilson was on that team a couple of years ago, did they win?
With Deshaun, I don't know.
Why not? Deshaun Watson has just as good as numbers, even with the worst team and the
Playoffs
worst
are
players
unknown,
around him. Oh, but we don't know what he could do in the playoffs because
it's an unknown.
It's an unknown. So don't say that Deshaun Watson can do it. So we know what Lamar Jackson could do. He can't do it in the playoffs. Right. But even with that team. So again, the reason why I say Patrick Mahomes is one of the most overrated players in the league is because everybody keeps talking about who he is and what he's done. He's won an MVP. He's won a Super Bowl. Who he was as a player coming out of college and how everybody said, oh, he's got the greatest arm we've ever seen. Meanwhile, as good as he is he couldn't beat Tom Brady in a big game, did he? Did he beat Tom Brady in a big game? Did he beat Tom Brady? Nope. Old man Tom Brady in a big game? Absolutely not. I'm just saying, right now, when you look at the big picture right now and who he is as a player and what he has done as a player, yeah, he won a Super Bowl and he won an MVP. That's fine and grand. If he played on that Texan Houston Texan team, do they win? Do they win a championship? Do they even make the playoffs? The answer is no. They don't. It's about, remember, football is a team sport. And the way everybody makes Patrick Mahomes to be, it's ridiculous. Patrick Mahomes is not Jesus, okay? He's not God, okay? And I hear it all the time. I see some of these kids are, Patrick Mahomes is the greatest quarterback of all time. Patrick Mahomes has played in 3 or 4 years. The guy made $500 million. Honestly, I am so sick and tired of listening to what. First of all, he sounds like Kermit the Frog. One. Number two, as good as he is as a player, okay, you have to have a team around you. Travis Kelce is the best tight end in football, is he not?
Easily.
He is. He's the best tight end in football. Is Hill one of the top four wide receivers in the league? Okay. Is Andy Reid one of the best offensive minds in football? Yeah. Okay. That's not even some of the other weapons he's had. He had Hunt a couple of years ago. Hunt he was one of the best running backs in the league. He's had weapons, and their defense has always been good. Always. And that's why I'm saying when I look at the big picture and when you look at players, when you say they're overrated, doesn't mean they're not great players. Doesn't mean that Patrick Mahomes isn't one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league. I never said that. Overrated. Trying to compare and contrast him to some of the greats already. The guy's been in the league for 4 years, and people are saying that Patrick Mahomes is going to go down as the greatest quarterback of all time. Are you on drugs?
Jeff says, overrated. Dak Prescott got $42 million a year for having not beaten a winning team in 2 seasons. Carl says, going back to the archives. Roll back the tape to 2 years ago. Errol said he was underrated. He wins a title, now overrated. Interesting.
Well, hold on one second. When I said he was underrated, when did I say he was?
Apparently 2 years ago.
Carl, I'd honestly tell you, if I said that he was underrated, I was wrong. Because, 2 years ago, honestly, what I've seen in the last couple of years, everybody makes him seem like he's the Messiah. Like he's come out of the water, and everybody's got to put a sword on him that he's the knight. He's the knight of shining armor. Everybody's big-time superstar. Honestly, what I've seen, when I see great players, and we've seen a lot of great players in football, even Russell Wilson, I never liked Russell Wilson. Okay? Never liked Russell Wilson because when he came out of college and he went to Seattle and he won the job from Matt Flynn, if you guys remember.
And Tavares Jackson.
Okay, and Tavares Jackson. When he took over for Seattle, everybody said that it was because of him why they were so good. It was because of him why they won that Super Bowl against the Broncos. And it's so untrue. It is so untrue. Russell Wilson didn't become the quarterback that everybody thinks he was until really 2 years ago. Really, 2 years ago. He wasn't the best player on the
Super Bowl
team.
48 with you at quarterback.
You could have.
That's how bad of a beatdown
it's
that was.
crazy. It is crazy. And I never liked Russell Wilson. And then Russell Wilson is forcing his way out, and he wants to go somewhere else because he doesn't like the way they built the offensive line. Listen, if you're as great as you say you are, and you're as great as you're persistent as being one of the top 3 or 4 quarterbacks in the league, then why do you need a great offensive line? I've seen Tom Brady, and this is me sticking up for Tom Brady. I can't believe I'm doing this.
Wow.
Okay, I've seen Tom Brady.
All these last few weeks.
No,
man.
but I'm being honest. You see, you say I'm on a roll, but I'm being honest of what I've seen when it comes to sports. I've seen Tom Brady behind terrible offensive lines. We've seen him do it. We actually, what was the year when they played against the Seattle Seahawks in the Super Bowl? 2014. They were injured in that playoff, right? That offensive line was injured.
I think 2 players. Yeah.
They were missing 2 players. They were talking about in that Seattle was far along the better team going into that. Not the secondary, because the Patriots had the best secondary in football that year with Revis and Browner, I remember. But that offensive line with the injuries that they had going into that game, everybody said Tom Brady was going to get killed. Did he get killed? This is a not mobile quarterback. And he beat the Seattle Seahawks, one of the best defensive teams in football.
Carl says you need a quality line for the same arguments you made earlier because football is a team sport, according to you.
Mm-hmm. So, Carl, why are you trying to flip things on me because you're trying to throw a curveball? All I'm telling you, here's my saying. The most overrated player in football is Patrick Mahomes. You want to throw your dices and slices at me? Do whatever you want, man. I could care less. The fact is, with the offensive line, I've seen Tom Brady play behind a bad offensive line and win. Patrick Mahomes, he played behind a bad offensive line with Kansas City. Did he win? No, he didn't.
Now, was it ever as bad as what the Chiefs had to deal with in that Super Bowl, though? I don't know.
I'm sorry?
Was the Patriots' offensive line ever
They weren't good.
As bad as what the Chiefs dealt with in the Super Bowl, though?
And what did he say over here?
And that is a quarterback in this draft to be great has to go to good team.
Really? Because right now, if you look at
you're taking
hold on 1 second. Is San Francisco a good team?
Yes.
Okay, San Francisco's a good team. They're drafting at 3. So if Justin Fields goes to San Francisco, they're not a good team?
They're a very good team.
They're a very good team. That's not true. Carl, you just answered your question. Right, there's a curveball back at you because that's not true. That is not true. Because right now, there's the San Francisco 49ers sitting at 3, and they're going to get a quarterback, and he's going to a good team.
Oh, yeah.
A Super Bowl contender. Mm-hmm. So these are your arguments, Harold. No, these are not my arguments, Carl. My arguments is that I'm saying that Patrick Mahomes is an overrated player, I don't want to hear the crap last year because of his offensive line is the reason why they lost the Super Bowl. If Patrick Mahomes was so damn good, he would have won behind that bad offensive line. How's that sound, Carl? Because I think Patrick Mahomes is one of the most overrated players in professional football. Because I'll tell you this, I bet you if Tom Brady played behind that line, they probably would have been closer to win the game. Okay,
not by much though, because he's not mobile.
Doesn't matter. That's either when he went to Seattle, when he played Seattle in the Super Bowl with that bad offensive line.
I mean, look, he was put in a very good spot. That was what it came down to. He got to sit behind Alex Smith for a year. Got to learn from that. Then he got Andy Reid. He was picked late. I mean, what was he? He was he second or third pick quarterback in that draft?
He was
Watson before him?
No, Watson was 2 picks after him. It was only Trubisky.
So Watson was 2 picks after him. So, I mean, you look at it like this. And I agree with everything Arrow says. And we didn't even mention guys like other guys. Like I don't know if you met like Sammy Watkins and all these guys. And now what are they doing the Austin's? And they add Joe Thuney now. Now they add Joe Thuney to an offensive line that
overpaid.
Just because they bombed in the Super Bowl, now they got to feel like they got to add.
By the way, they're never winning a Super Bowl again with that offensive line. I guarantee you, they're not winning. They're not winning this year. If they don't make a trade, if they don't make a trade at the trade deadline to add another offensive or 2 offensive tackles, good luck.
Agree.
They're not winning nothing. And Patrick Mahomes could be the savior, Jesus Christ. He's still not going to win.
Yeah, they'll win the division because it's pretty weak right now. But yeah, I don't think they're winning anything. I think you got Buffalo, you got the Ravens, you got the Browns.
They're not winning.
Those three I trust more, at least for now.
And that's coming from somebody that's telling you that Patrick Mahomes is still a great quarterback. He's still not good enough. But I'll tell you this right now: if Tom Brady was playing on that team right now, I would bet more that Tom Brady has a better chance of winning a Super Bowl than Patrick Mahomes. And why would I say that? I'm not a Tom Brady fan. I can't stand the guy. That's all I'm going to say. I'm telling you, when it comes to winning, there's a way of winning and there's a way of losing. And athletic ability doesn't necessarily mean, or the great powerful arm doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to win a Super Bowl.
Carl's firing back at you again. Aaron Rodgers doesn't win titles either. And if you were amazing on your own, you should win on your own, and Rodgers doesn't.
Oh, really? Rodgers doesn't win on his own. Now, winning a Super Bowl, you're fine. Rodgers won one Super Bowl, and I think Rodgers is the best quarterback in the NFL. Athletic ability. As far as winning is concerned, I am not saying that Aaron Rodgers is overrated, because he's not overrated. I've seen Aaron Rodgers play with some of the worst wide receivers some wide receivers we never even heard of besides Devontae Adams. Name the other wide receivers that any other team would take on their team as a second or third.
That is a system in Green Bay, because you even look at it, guys like James Jones and Greg Jennings have all left and gotten big contracts that have become
nothing.
Even Jordy Nelson with the Raiders, he wasn't good.
Jordy Nelson, he was kind of finished at that point.
But he was still playing well. He was still playing well in Green Bay when he was healthy.
The bigger one, Speedy, was Greg Jennings.
Right.
I mean, he got the man, and then even James Jones. I think he got a big contract from the Raiders. Yep. Didn't he got a big contract? And none of them worked out.
I'm just saying, when you look at Patrick Mahomes, how could anybody say that Patrick Mahomes isn't overrated? He is. He's a great player. Nobody's taking that away from him. He's fantastic. You want to, like I said, you want to go down and go on your knees and bow to him? That's great. Patrick Mahomes.
I thought you were going to go somewhere else with the whole tone.
If you want to go that way, I mean,
I didn't know where you were going to go with that.
Here's the thing with making others better. A good point, Errol. Rodgers on Rodgers, and with making other better. Here's the thing. I look at Patrick Mahomes. If you put Patrick Mahomes on that Texan team, they're just as bad. They're just as bad right now. You put Patrick Mahomes on the Jets, they're just as bad. Okay? Mm-hmm. You put Deshaun Watson on the Kansas City Chiefs. Hey, Deshaun Watson might have won the Super Bowl last year. He's a better mobile quarterback than Patrick Mahomes. That's just my opinion. So to say that, and I listen to some of these kids, and I can't stand. I was watching Dan Patrick's show the other day. I was listening to, and he had somebody call up his show, and he says, Dan Patrick says, who's your favorite athlete in professional sports? He says Patrick Mahomes. And he says, why do you think Patrick Mahomes? Oh, he's by far the best player in football, the best player in sports. He's going to be the greatest the greatest quarterback to ever play the game. And then Dan Patrick says, I would agree. And I look at Dan Patrick, maybe that's why your show sucks. Okay? And it's the truth. Because how could you sit there and say somebody is you're looking at somebody in 3 or 4 years to say that he's the greatest quarterback of all time when you look at his game and there's flaws in his game? You saw last year in a Super Bowl, and everybody says, "Oh, did you see?" The first thing people pop up, it's not how bad he threw the ball and how many interceptions he threw in the Super Bowl. Is that throw that he threw in the air almost? And if his wide receiver actually caught the ball, it would have been one of the greatest catches of all time.
That was still pretty insane, though.
It doesn't matter. Why are you remembering something that nobody's going to remember when it comes to 10 years from now? Nobody gives a crap on how amazing that throw is. Everybody cares about winning. And Patrick Mahomes, of all people, jumping around, going to his little concerts, dancing around with his wife and everything like that. I'm so sick and tired of these athletes thinking that they're bigger than the sport. He's not bigger than the sport. LeBron James has never been bigger than the sport, and he'll never be Michael Jordan. Okay? Michael Jordan doesn't go around saying, hey, you know what? Michael Jordan don't even bring up LeBron James. He laughs. He giggles when everybody says LeBron James thinks that he's the greatest basketball of all time because he should giggle. It's a joke. It's a joke. And to hear something like Patrick Mahomes come out and say, "Hey, you know what? I think the game has really what's the word? Grown through the quarterbacks that are coming into the league, the mobile quarterbacks. Because I've heard guys like Patrick Mahomes say that this is the wave of the future. I'm the wave of the future. Yeah, you're the wave of the future. If you were the wave of the future, you should have beaten Tom Brady, a 43-year-old guy that's practically running on one leg. It's ridiculous, man. I'm tired of the way sports is transitioning. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of the great athletes that we talk about, all these great quarterbacks and how important the quarterback position. The quarterback position is very, very important to winning a Super Bowl. But just as important as the quarterback position is, the team is just as important as the quarterback is. And for Patrick Mahomes, so everybody walks around that Patrick Mahomes is the best player. Patrick Mahomes might not even be the best player on his team. He might not be the best player on his team.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm going to say. And what are they saying over here?
Jeff says, my favorite athlete of all time is J. Don Blake. Not hard to not like a golfer sponsored by Hustler. And Carl says, how about Tony Romo mid-Super Bowl saying Mahomes will win 8 titles?
Yeah, well.
Yeah, you wish you could win You wish you could win
Tony
quarter
Romo,
of the amount of playoff games.
How many playoff games did Tony Romo win?
He technically won 2, but he shouldn't have won the second one because they got gift-wrapped a call against the Lions that they shouldn't have gotten.
I just think I'm even more pissed off now that the show is ending because it really just infuses the situation of where professional sports is going. It really does. It infuriates me because I'm sitting here and I look at guys like Patrick Mahomes. This guy is dominating the game of sport. People claim that he's dominating the game of football when he really isn't. He really isn't.
Jeff with his usual, it's not a logo, it's a rating.
Am I right or wrong, guys? Am I right or wrong?
No, you're right.
Do people blow?
Right. I think all the points you made were correct. I think when you look at the situation of it is this. I mean, you maybe think about it more than I ever would have thought about because all the time I always think about how great Patrick Mahomes is going to be. But the thing is, he was put in a great situation. And he was even brought up earlier in the show about the NFL draft. When guys get picked later in the draft, they're put in great situations. That's really what it comes down to. Like,
the Chiefs had the trade up. Remember, the Chiefs had the trade up to 10.
Yeah, but even still, though, when you have Andy Reid as your coach, though, and you're putting the players around you right away, you're put in a really good spot. And
great spot.
You know, I mean, look at say Trey Lance, for example. Say he goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't think Trey Lance is going to be a really good player? Trey Lance is going to be a great player.
It's not a great offensive situation, though. I don't know. I mean, they have a couple nice receivers.
The Pittsburgh Steelers always find a way to make players around them really good. They've always done this, and it's just been the case. It's certain organizations know how to do that. So, I mean, that's just the way it is with sports. It's all about, with the popularity and I'll say it, Jeff's favorite word, the branding. It's all about the brand. So, I mean, that's what it comes down to. And look, I agree with what Errol's saying, though. I think you can now make the case that I didn't even think about it, but Patrick Mahomes might be overrated.
Snug says Patrick Mahomes would be the junior GOAT if he gets traded to the Cowboys. That's the only way. Nah, he'll get ruined over there.
Forget about it. If he ever put on oh my God, if he went to
what is Carl saying right now?
Carl's saying, not making a point, just asking Mahomes and Manning the only players with 50 touchdowns in a season, right? No, also Tom Brady did in 2007, had exactly 50 touchdowns.
And by the way, who cares how many touchdowns he throws? He didn't win. I mean, seriously.
That's the funny thing. Everybody thought, you think about it.
He doesn't win.
Season. He
Peyton Manning, did he win?
Nope. That was 2012 and 2013. 2012, they got knocked out by the Ravens in that. And
they lost against Seattle, didn't they?
They got
Super Bowl
by Seattle.
I mean, it doesn't matter how many touchdowns you throw. It really doesn't. Because to me, you look at everybody remembers one thing. Who won the championship? That's all they care about. It don't matter what Peyton Manning threw in one season. And I'm a big Peyton Manning fan. And everybody knows I don't like Tom Brady. But I can't deny when you sit around and you see what Tom Brady did last year, a 43-year-old old man outplaying a quarterback, and I don't want to hear about his offensive line. If you're as good as you say you are and as good as everybody proclaimed you to be, well, you should have won the Super Bowl, big mouth. That's all I'm going to say. And you didn't just lose the Super Bowl. You got steamrolled. So that's all I'm going to say. And yes, he's a great player. Does he deserve all the hype? Is he? How could you put him on the stance that he's the greatest quarterback of all time already? How many times have we? Who's the other guy that they keep talking about as the greatest in their sport?
Steph Curry is the best point guard of all time.
That's another thing. Steph Curry.
Well, Steph Curry.
No, but people are saying Steph Curry's a top 5 point guard of all
the
time.
Greatest of all time.
Oh
Point guard of all time.
Yeah.
He's not even close to top 5.
No, he doesn't even sniff it.
No, it's terrible. Eric Martinez says, "Well, this is what ESPN says," and that's why nobody watches them anymore. This is why everybody says it on the thing. I don't give a crap what everybody says. I want to hear what the beef says. He says it's the eye test. Your eye test is crazy. You're the one who thinks Ezekiel Elliott can run behind the same line as Barry Sanders. I mean, your eye test is crazy. Okay, I love you, beef, but you're crazy.
Snug says, "Cast all your cares on Tom Brady, and he shall direct your path." And Carl says, "Speaking of branding, get those sleeves off the Loudmouth logo."
And here we go with the sleeves. Carl, I won't wear any more sleeveless stuff, so it makes you unhappy. Maybe because you need to grow some muscles. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what's up with you. So if it really bothers you that I'm wearing sleeveless because I'm hot and I had neck surgery, then I won't wear it anymore, bud. That's all. I don't know why it bothers you so much.
Snug says, "In light of the guest appearances of Josh's cats, could you put some cats in the background of the Loudmouth logo?"
Yeah,
as well?
no thank you. No thank you.
I mean, the Loudmouth logo and Josh's couch they're not far off in terms of how it's shaped. So maybe who knows? Jeff says Josh makes the beef seem
Carl says, "See, Josh, Errol can't take it either." No, it's so funny that you're talking about my sleeves, dude. It doesn't bother me, but what is it to you that I'm wearing a sleeveless, and then you say I'm wearing the same thing as yesterday? Well, obviously, if you go back to what I was wearing yesterday, it's not the same one. So,
and Jeff accused you of not showering.
Yeah, and that's another thing. That's weird too. But hey, listen, if you don't think I shower, then you don't know. Obviously, you don't know me because I'm the cleanest person in this whole friggin' studio. So that's all I can say about that.
I take 2 showers a day.
Well, then you're crazy, okay? And that's why your skin's all dry. Anyways, that's it for our show, ladies and gentlemen.
That's a way to end it.
Oh man. We will be back on Wednesday next week. The Weekend Crunch. If you guys want to listen to the Weekend Crunch, me, Josh, and Speedy on 103.9. You can listen to the LI News Radio on iHeartRadio. You can listen to our show. We love being on iRadio USA. Definitely shout out to Eric and Chris Angel and his team, his brothers that invited us to be a part of their network. I'm very happy to put this product out there because I think this is a great product. I think our network is a great product, and we're moving in such a great direction. So I'm very excited about it. And Josh, by the way, Carl says, go ahead, Speedy.
I didn't say that about the same clothes.
Yes, she did.
Relax, Errol. See Josh. And then Jeff says, "When will Josh be on next so I'll know when to make plans with friends?"
It's so funny. Carl with you.
I don't know.
They're texting. I think Carl and Jeff are texting each other. Oh, who should we insult next?
Dude, it's not insulting what he's saying. I don't. I just don't know why it becomes a product of whatever he's talking. I don't know.
Like the muscle shirts, man.
Maybe
I think you should wear a white beater next episode.
I think I might. I think I might just to piss him off, but I don't care. Anyways, you can listen to a show every single Wednesday and Thursday.
Our fans are crazy.
Well, it is 9 p.m. We got, like I said, we have a great network. You can check out our shows from Monday through Sunday. We have a tremendous lineup. We're very happy to have the fans that we do that listen to our network. Jeff, who calls the show. I love Jeff. Jeff has some good insight. It took a shot at Mark. I thought it was very
great.
Funny. That was very funny. Good tape on that one. Snug, who always and ever forever has been a great fan of us, and Carl, a very good friend of mine. Pain in the ass sometimes in some of the things. He likes to throw curveballs, but maybe the balls are just not rolling in his pants right. Maybe I should ask his wife on that one. I'm just kidding. That's just a joke. Anyways, that's it for our Joe Speedy show. I said Joe. Speedy, do you have anything to say before we go?
Yes, wishing all the best to LaMarcus Aldridge. Obviously, his heart condition and irregular heartbeat, that's definitely not something to be taken lightly. I think Steven Stamkos said the same thing 5 or 6 years ago. He also had blood clots, too. So wishing all the best to LaMarcus Aldridge on getting through that. And, again, very smart for him to step away. Health always comes first.
Joshy.
Always to the fans for listening and tuning into our show. I know next Thursday we're going to have a guest on. We're going to get Zach Braziller from the New York Post. He is going to probably join us next Thursday to talk about some college sports, the NFL draft, because he does all the collegiate writing for the New York Post. So he'll come on with us to talk all basketball, football. What are you laughing at over there? Every time I talk, you laugh.
Because Jeff said this. Read this, Speedy.
Tank tops should be no longer called wife beaters. They should be known as Aroldis Chapman tees.
Oh, my God.
And then Carl says, Jeff, call them Tulsa Slayers.
He's been hanging out with, what's his name, on Jared Carabas on Barstool. That's what he's been hanging out.
No, that's Jeff. That's Jeff. That's always been Jeff. That's always been Jeff.
But we're excited, to have Zach on next week. When I interned at the New York Post, I got to work with Zach a lot, so he's a good guy, and he'll talk a lot about the NFL draft coming up. I know Speedy's excited because he heard college sports, so he's already ecstatic about it.
Well, he can rotate.
That'll be a good show. We're excited to check out the Weekend Crunch, and we're excited for all the new stuff that's coming aboard on this network.
He's going to sit on this and rotate. That's what he's going to do, Mr. Anyways, that's
why would I sit on something that will not only stab me, but I will get ink all over me.
I love how he always gives a full-blown explanation
for that.
It's
the ink. It's the ink that really bothers him. That's it.
And the pointy object that will stab me.
Well, there you go. The pointy object that will stab me. Well, anyways.
I got the Snapchat channel.
There you go. I would say. Well, that's it.
Yeah.
Thank you to all the fans that listen to us and listen to our shows throughout the week. We will be back tomorrow. Our shows will be back tomorrow, not us. We will be, if you want to listen to the Weekend Crunch on Saturdays, 7 p.m. Is there an Islander game on Saturday?
No Islander game. They play Sunday.
So 7 p.m. we'll be live on Saturday. Tune in. What is it? iHeartRadio. If you're not here in New York or Long Island to listen to the FM dial, you can listen to iHeartRadio. It's LI News Radio on iHeart. So you definitely can listen to our show. It's a great show. Shout out to iRadio USA again. And we'll be back next Wednesday. Until then, this is Errol Marks, Speedy Petey, and Joshua Silverberg saying good night. And Patrick Mahomes is overrated. Good night, everybody.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.